Committee on Finance to order. Good morning, everyone. We'd like to acknowledge the presence of our colleagues present. Physically, we have with us our idol, everyone's idol, Senator Robin Hood Padilla. Gandang umaga, sir.
Magandang umaga po, mahal na tagapangulo.
Morning po. Thank you for always being the first to arrive sa ating hearing. Of course, we'd like to greet the DOJ family, headed by a very familiar face, my batchmate in Congress, in the House of Representatives. We were together for 9 years. Good friend, Secretary Boying Remulla, the pride of Cavite, province of Cavite. Morning, sir. And of course, the former secretary is also here. So that makes for nice continuity sa ating polisiya, no? Secretary Maynard Guevara, sir. Morning. And Yusek Dodo is also a familiar face. But we're more used to seeing him about visas and OFWs. But now it's good to see you here. And to the rest of our Yusek Bantag, Commissioner Tansinko, Sir Agbayani, ano bang position nila? Masama kasi yung mata natin. CCG, chairperson, mali. Attorney Administrator Sirius, morning. Director Hermar, Yusek Marco, Yusek Vasquez, is also a familiar face. Attorney Lemos, Attorney, hindi ko mabasing huli. Alogok, pasensya na po kayo. Medyo... And then Administrator Diray. Most of you, many of you are new faces, so essentially we'll get to know each other in the course of the hearings. No, I'd also like to acknowledge virtually present is one of the vice chairs of the committee, Senator Bongo. Morning, sir. Sir, we'll give the floor. Kung may opening statement si Senator Padilla, please, sir. May opening statement ko kayo. We'll give you the floor first, tapos bigay na natin kay Sec Boying para sa presentasyon nila.
Wala na po, mahal na tagapangulo. Handa na po tayong makinig po.
Salamat po. So we'll give you the floor, Sec Boying, again. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. On behalf of the entire DOJ family, I am pleased to present to you the proposed budget for the fiscal year 2023 of the Department of Justice, including the constituent and attached agencies. This is based on the President's budget for the National Expenditure Program. With me today are my undersecretaries and some of our assistant secretaries, key officials from the DOJ proper, heads of attached agencies under the DOJ are also present.
With your permission, I just want to acknowledge also Committee Vice Chair Senator Sherwin, also a former colleague, I think. Thank you.
So there are also those who are present on Zoom video conferencing to provide answers, details on any query that the members of the committee may raise. With us right now are, of course, Solicitor General Leonardo Guevara, NBI Director Medardo de Lemos, Immigration Commissioner Norman Tansinko, LRA Administrator Gerardo Sirios, Parole and Probation OIC Administrator Julito Diray, OIC Government Corporate Counsel Marilyn Estaris, PCGG OIC Chairperson John Agbayani, Director General Gerald Bantag of the Bureau of Corrections, and Director Irene Torres Alogok from the Office of Alternative Dispute Resolution. And my Undersecretary Dodulay will now continue with the presentation, Mr. Chairman.
With the permission of the chair and the members of the honorable committee, we would like to present our mandate now and our strategic objectives. The department's mandate is to uphold the rule of law by serving as the principal law agency of the government. Under the 1987 Administrative Code, the DOJ serves as the legal counsel and prosecutorial arm of the government, administers the government's criminal justice system by investigating crimes, prosecuting offenders, and administering the correctional system. It also implements laws on the admission and stay of aliens, citizenship and land titling system, and provides free legal services to indigent persons. We envision a just and peaceful society anchored on the principles of transparency, accountability, fairness, and truth. Based on our mandate, our mission is to ensure the effective, efficient, and equitable administration of justice. The Department of Justice has three core programs, namely law enforcement, corrections, and legal services. We work towards an outcome of an effective and efficient administration of justice. Under the 2017 to 2022 Philippine Development Plan, we contribute to the subsector outcomes of an enhanced civil, criminal, commercial, and administrative justice systems, improve sector efficiency and accountability, and significantly reduce criminality and illegal drugs. These will further contribute to the sector outcomes of an ensured swift and fair administration of justice and ensured security, public order, and safety. Your Honors, please may we now highlight in the next few slides some of our major accomplishments. As shown in this slide, we were able to improve the disposition rates of preliminary investigations from 78.3% in 2013 to 92.35% by the end of 2021. In terms of addressing case backlogs, which refers to complaints pending beyond the 120 days maximum reglementary period, there is a significant decrease of 31.92% from 2013. With the strengthened performance management and sustained implementation of case decongestion initiatives starting in 2016, these backlogs were significantly reduced to 25.48% in 2021. There is also an increasing rate of prosecution success rate from 2017 to 2021. It reflects the improving efforts on investigation and case buildup of court cases through the years. For our prosecution subprogram, Your Honors, the National Prosecution Service was able to resolve 92.29% of the criminal complaints handled in 2021. Our Witness Protection Program processed and acted upon all applications for witness coverage during the same year. We were also able to train at least 5,569 law enforcers and service providers in handling complaints involving women and children, trafficking, and cybercrime offenses under our Special Enforcement and Protection Subprogram. Moving on to our corrections program, the Board of Pardons and Parole was able to evaluate more than 98.80% of inmate records, applications, and petitions relative to parole and executive clemency in 2021. And more than 94% of victims' compensation claims were acted upon by the department through our Board of Claims. For our legal services program, 93.8% of various requests for legal services were acted upon by our legal staff in 2021. Meanwhile, the Office of Alternative Dispute Resolution, or OADR, was able to train more than 1,000 ADR practitioners nationwide. For law enforcement services, the National Bureau of Investigation was able to conduct more than 35,000 investigations and process almost 5.5 million applications for criminal records clearance. The Bureau of Immigration, on the other hand, processed at least 60% of international airport passengers coming in and out of the country within 45 seconds upon primary inspection in 2021. The agency also processed more than 94% of immigration and registration documents within 6 days from receipt. For our corrections agencies, the Bucor managed an average of 49,539 inmates under its custody. Out of the said inmate population, at least 93.61 were able to participate in various reformation programs of the Bucor. The Parole and Probation Administration was able to ensure that more than 99.55 of its supervised offenders were compliant with their probation and or parole conditions. 98.39% of the clients of the administration are participating in the rehabilitation programs. For the legal services, the Public Attorney's Office secured favorable judgment on 83.05% of its cases handled in 2021 and was able to act on all of the requests for legal assistance within 2 hours from receipt.
With your permission,
Yes,
Yusek, we just want to acknowledge the presence of another committee vice chair, Senator Bato de la Rosa. Morning, sir. Go ahead. Thank you.
With the permission.
Also, sorry again. We're just informed that our minority leader, Senator Coco Pimentel, is with us online. He used to chair also the Senate Committee on Justice, so I expect he'll have some queries later. Go ahead, Yusek.
Thank you. With your permission, Chair. The OSG acted on 94% of the cases it handled and resolved all petitions for naturalization in the same year, while the OGCC, or the Office of the Government Corporate Counsel, was able to ensure that all pleadings were filed within the prescribed period. The Land Registration Administration Authority completed at least 92.28% of requests for issuance of titles and more than 93.29% for annotation of deeds within the prescribed period of 20 days from receipt of complete documents. And lastly, the PCGG has 588,875,000 reported on the recovered amount and proceeds from administration of fully taken over sequestered assets. The next slide, Your Honors, will show the department-wide income collection as compared to our budget. Based on this schedule, the top three revenue-generating agencies are the Land Registration Authority, which provided the Treasury with 8.6 billion income. The Bureau of Immigration, which provided 7.1 billion income. And the Presidential Commission on Good Government, which provided another 588 million, I'm sorry, Chair, 588 million income to the Treasury. With the permission of the Chair, may I now call on our Director for Finance, Maria Elisa B. Hermar of the DOJ Financial Service.
Yes, please go ahead,
to present
Director
the proposed budget of the department.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Salamat, Yusek. Thank you.
With the permission of the Secretary, Your Honors, please allow me to present the DOJ proposed budget for FY 2023. The total 2023 program budget of the Department of Justice, including its constituent
With your permission, we'd like to acknowledge Senator Rafi Tulfo, our chair of the Committee on Energy and Migrant Workers. Morning, sir.
Thank
Go
you,
ahead,
Mr. Chair. Thank you. Okay.
amounts to 26.686 billion as compared with FY 2022 GAA of 25.247 billion. As you may note, the DOJ budget for 2023 is only 0.51% or half of 1% of the total national budget of 5.268 trillion. Our budget summary shows that on the overall, about 81.61%
Morning.
is for personal services, including salaries and other compensation of employees. Only 16.85% is provided for maintenance and other operating expenses. For capital outlays, there's a minimal amount provided equivalent to 1.54%, covering select agencies of the department. Next slide. For FY 2023, the department-wide budget proposal submitted amounts to 42.9 billion. The total budget recommended in the 2023 National Expenditure Program is 26.7 billion, which is 5.70% higher than the FY 2022 budget. The slide shows a comparative budget for FY 2022 and 2023 by expense classification in millions pesos. Details on this figure will be shown later with the permission of the honorable members of the committee. Please allow me to present the DOJ OSEC budget in the next several slides. For FY 2023, the DOJ OSEC, we are provided with a budget of almost 8.5 billion. This is 12.36% higher than the 7.5 billion budget in 2022. About 88.98% of the DOJ OSEC budget allocation for 2023 is for personnel services, 7.78 for MOOE, and only 3.23 for capital outlays. Next slide. For our law enforcement program, composed of the prosecution, witness protection, special enforcement, and protection program, under the prosecution services, budget for the National Prosecution Service increased by 10.52%. Witness protection program increased by 10.38%, and special enforcement and protection program decreased by an average of 34.27%. On the overall, our 2023 law enforcement budget will be 9.56% higher than our 2022 appropriations. Our law enforcement program performance indicators relate to the disposition rate of criminal complaints handled by the National Prosecution Service, the percentage of application for witness coverage acted upon by the WPP, and the rate of investigations completed by our special units. Next is our correction program. The Board of Pardons and Parole grants parole to qualified offenders and recommends to the Office of the President the grant of pardons and executive clemency. The Victim Compensation Services provides monetary compensation for victims of violent crimes and unjust imprisonment through the Board of Claims. BPP has an increased budget of 21.3%, while the Victim Compensation Services decreased by 44.3% as compared to this year's budget. In terms of performance, the indicators focus on pardons and parole, parole services, and actions on claim for victim compensation. On legal services, the DOJ legal staff renders various legal services in relation to the function of the Justice Secretary as Attorney General, including providing legal opinions, resolution of citizenship cases, grants of special non-immigrant visas, legislative position papers, and legal studies, among others. DOJ lawyers also participate in the negotiation of economic agreement within the country and abroad, and its implementation to ensure consistency with our legal interests and framework. On the overall, the FY23 budget for legal services program is reduced by 3.97%. May I now present the budget summary of the agencies under the department, including their performance indicators and corresponding targets for 2023. For our attached and constituent agencies, we start with the National Bureau of Investigation. The 2023 recommended budget for our law enforcement agency amounts to 1.856 billion, which is 20.17% lower than the 2.325 billion in 2022. For the said 2023 budget, NBI will be able to process more than 7.6 million applicants for clearance, of which at least 98% will be processed within 10 minutes from receipt. NBI also will be able to act on the conduct investigation in at least 57,000 cases. For the Bureau of Immigration, the 2023 recommended budget amounts to 1.614 billion, which is 1.33% higher than the 1.593 billion in 2022. Given this budget, the BI estimates to process 99% of entries and exit within 45 seconds upon primary inspection. The agency will also process 94.60% immigration transaction within 6 days from filing to implementation, and targets to dispose around 93.80% of intelligence cases within 60 days. For the Bureau of Correction, the 2023 recommended budget amounts to 5.910 billion, which is 12.27 higher than the 5.264 billion in 2022. The increase in budget includes PS requirement cover 4,700 field uniformed personnel, PS requirement for 433 unfilled uniformed personnel, annualization of 1,000 correction officers, Officer 1 positions created in FY 2022, and provision for 1,000 short firearms corresponding to the additional 1,000 correction officer 1. For the said budget, Bucor will ensure that 90% participation rate of inmates in its rehabilitation program and will maintain an average of 49,481 inmates within 2023. For the Board of Pardons and Parole Administration, the 2023 recommended budget amounts to 883 million, which is about 12.14% lower than the 1.005 billion in 2022. The said amount includes implementation of the single carpeta or the inmate record system in the agency as part of the National Justice Information System project. With this 2023 budget, PPA will ensure that 99.55% of clients will be compliant to their terms of their probation and or parole conditions, and that 98.39% will participate in its rehabilitation programs. Our next agency is the Land Registration Authority. For the LRA, the 2023 recommended budget amounts to 1.270 billion, which is 9.48% higher than the 1.160 billion in 2022. In addition to the amounts appropriated herein, 570 million shall be used for MOOE requirements for LRA, sourced from 20% of the land registration fees or collection in accordance with Section 111 of PD number 1529. The LRA will be able to provide land registration services and will ensure that at least 92.28% of titles will be issued and 93.29% of deeds annotated 20 days after the submission of complete documents. For the Office of the Government Corporate Counsel, the 2023 recommended budget amounts to 218.7 million, which is 3.79% higher than the 210.5 million in 2022. Given the said budget, the OGCC will ensure that 100% of all court pleadings will be filed within the prescribed period. It will also ensure that all contracts will be reviewed and legal opinions will be rendered within the prescribed period. For the Office of the Solicitor General, the 2023 recommended budget amounts to 1.225 billion, which is 2.59% higher than the 1.194 billion in 2022. The OSG aims at least 99% of all cases acted upon in 2023 are within 30 days. For resolution of petitions for naturalization, the agency intends to resolve all by the end of the year. Our next agency is the Presidential Commission on Good Government. The 2023 recommended budget amounts to 146 million, which is 8.75% lower than the 160 million in 2022. The PCGG targets that the amount of remittance to the Bureau of Treasury, income generated from surrendered sequestered assets, including rental and interest income from recovered asset under escrow by BTR, will be at least 410 million. Our next agency is the Public Attorney's Office. The PAO, under the 2023 recommended budget, the amount it has the amount of 5.30 billion, which is 5.94% higher than the 4.747 billion in 2022. Given the recommended budget, PAO will be able to acquire 83.05% favorable disposition on its cases, including appealed cases, and will ensure that all requests for non-judicial services will be acted upon within 2 hours. And lastly, for the Office of the Alternative Dispute Resolution, the 2023 recommended budget amounts to 85.9 million. Given the said amount, the OADR will ensure that 1,200 ADR practitioners and implementers will be trained, and 100% of applications for accreditation and approval of ADR training programs will be acted upon within the prescribed period.
Mr. Chairman, this ends our presentation for the 2023 department-wide budget. We are now ready to accommodate questions and clarifications, if any.
Thank you, Secretary. Before we turn it over to our colleagues, i-acknowledge lang po natin yung ilang opisyalis. And of course, we have with us also online our Senate President Pro Tempore, Senator Lauren Legarda. Morning, ma'am. We'd like to acknowledge DOJ USEC Nicolas Felix T., DOJ ASEC Anika Granong, DOJ ASEC Jose Arturo Malvar, Chief State Counsel George Orta II. They are present with us virtually. Of course, Prosecutor General Benedicto Malcontento, also virtually with us. OGCC OIC Marilyn Estaris, Public Attorney's Office Chief Attorney Persida Rueda Acosta, NBI Deputy Director Jose Hustoyap, virtual. OGCC Assistant Government Corporate Counsel Aniceto Kalubakib, also virtually present. Office of Alternative Dispute Resolution OIC Director Ryan Thomas. They're also present with us virtually, Your Honors. So any opening statement from our colleagues before we do the questions, the round of questioning? Again, with your permission, we'll do it by attendance, sana. And of course, with deference to the Senate President and the Majority Leader if they arrive, no? Bigyan natin ng pagkakataon. So Senator Go, if he wishes to ask questions, Vice Chair Senator Bongo. Nagsabi siya? Hindi. Okay. Well, maybe he's in another committee. Of course, Senator Padilla is with us physically, so we'll give him the floor, sir.
Maraming salamat po, mahal na tagapangulo. Isang magandang umaga po sa lahat po ng ating mga bisita. Magmula po sa kagawaran ng hustisya. Isa pong karangalan ng maging bisita po kayo. Meron lamang po akong mga katanungan. Noong pong nakaraang budget hearing, nagsalita po ang ating mahal na Senador Franklin Drilon tungkol po sa mga bilanggo na dapat po ay nakinabang doon sa GCTA law, ang Republic Act number 10592. Ang sabi po niya, dapat ang nakinabang daw po ditong bilanggo ay nasa 54,189. Pero ang nakinabang pa lang po nun ay 9,323. Ang magandang balita po nito, nung nagkausap po kami ng ating mahal na kalihim, ay meron na pong 400 na nakalabas nitoong buwan ng Setyembre. Ang tanong ko lang po, meron pa po bang mga susunod na lalabas po?
Tuloy-tuloy po, Mr. Chairman, tuloy-tuloy po ang pagtingin namin sa estado ng bawat isang nakatuit sa ating mga bilangguan. At 371 po ang ating pinakawalan noong September 13. Meron pa tayong 318 na binubuno ngayon na inintay po ang pirma ng ating Pangulo. Ito naman po yung sa clemency, sa pardon, saka po sa commutation of sentence. At yun po ay binigyan ko na ho ng kautusan ang Bureau of Corrections na dalas-dalasan po ang pagbibigay ng karpeta sa Parole Probation Administration. At bukod po dyan, maglalabas na po kami ng department order tapos sa Public Attorney's Office na sila po ang mamamahala sa pagpakawala ng mga nakapiit sa mga detention centers o sa mga city jail, provincial jail na ngayon po na meron pa mga kasong dinig-dinig, yung mga pwede lang pakawalan. Kasi sila po ang pinakamaraming tao sa buong sa pinakamaraming abogado po ang ating public attorney's office. Kaya ang sistema po ng pag-decongest ng mga kulungan para ho mapaluwag po ang mga kulungan ay hindi po natin tinitigilan. Lahat po ng mga paraan na pwedeng gawin ay ginagawa po natin dito. GCTA po ay tuloy na tuloy ko pong naiiraw ngayon, lalo na ho sa Bucor, kasi doon po ay final na ang mga sentensya ng mga nakapiit. Kaya sinisikap po natin na paluwagin talaga ito at pakawalan po ang dapat pakawalan na nasa oras na po nilang makalaya na po.
Maraming salamat po, mahal na kalihim. Nabanggit po ang PAO. Ma'am, nasa inyo po palang mga kamay ang paglaya ng aking mga kakosa. Ano po ang ano po ang inyong mga palatuntunin diyan po?
Good morning po, Senator Angara, the chairman, and all the senators. With the permission of the chairman, Sir Robin, tuloy-tuloy po, sabi nga ng ating mahal na ama ng katarungan, tuloy-tuloy po at nag-uugnayan po kami halos araw-araw ni General Gerald Bantag. At katunayan, may hawak pa po kung 100 mahigit. Galing po sa ating special and appealed service na karapat-dapat na rin po makuwi. At bukod po dyan, yung sinasabi po ni Senator Drilon na Republic Act 951, nakapag-file na po tayo ng mga petisyon sa husgado, mahigit 3,000 po sa 3,000 peso. Yun po yung batas adjusting the amount of the value of property and damage on which a penalty is based and fines imposed upon the revised penal code. Yun po yung binabanggit ni Senator Drilon na Republic Act 10951. Pero po sa GCTA Act na nasa kapangyarihan po ng Bucor Director General sa ilalim din po ng supervision ng ating Secretary of Justice, pa po yun. So lahat po ng forms of release or grounds for release ay atin pong i-expose. Gamitin po natin para po tuluyang matupad ang adikain ng bagong Secretary of Justice na mapaluwag po ang ating mga kulungan. Asahan niyo po yan. At talaga pong kahit magpuyat ang mga taga-Bucor, PAO at Board of Pardons, pati PPA, ginagawa na po namin.
Ibig niyo pong sabihin, ma'am, magiging buwan-buwan ba ito?
Ako po yan ang aming kalihim, may Secretary Remulla na alam niyo naman ay mabuting kaibigan ng PAO. At talagang tutuparin po natin yan. Kapag nangako po si Secretary Remulla, tinutupad po niya eh. Manang-mana sa sayo, Sir Robin. Kaya gagawin namin po yan. Sa target po namin date ay October 25. Then susunod na buwan ay November 20, siguro din. And then sa araw po ng Kapaskuhan. Pangako po yan, Secretary Remulla, dinig ko po, katabi niya po ako sa Bucor. Kaya talagang lamayan pong katakot-takot po. At si General Bantag, akala ko po super tapang at talagang mananakot. Pero may awa rin po pala siya. Sabi rin ng Secretary Remulla, ito po ay act of grace. Act of grace po. Kaya anong birthday po ng Pangulong Bongbong, puntuwa po kami, medyo nausyano rin ako dahil may 318 pong hindi pa napipirmahan. Nasa opisina po ng Executive Secretary. Sana po tulungan niyo rin po kami mga lampag sa ES para po makarating sa lamesa ng ating Pangulo.
Chairman, meron lang pong isang tanong pa.
Please go ahead.
Para po sa aking kaibigan, kay General Bantag, kaibigan. Ito pong nakaraang araw, naging headline ang atin pong mga bilanggo na ang sabi daw po ng COA ay hindi daw po nakasunod ang caterer natin sa loob na hindi pagsunod sa itinakdang menu. Pangalawa, hindi po angkop na rasyon sa mga PDLs base sa relihiyon. Mayroon daw pong mga kapatid na Muslim at Seventh-day Adventist ang nabigyan ng buboy. Napakain daw po ng buboy. At Pangatlo, yun daw pong mga manggagawa ay wala daw pong health certificate. Ano po kailan ang nangyari dito?
Pakiwan lang, sir.
With due
Thank you.
respect po sa ating chairman, Senator Angara and all the senators here at sa amin pong Secretary of Justice. Ang nangyari po, Senator Kailan, sir, nag-conduct po kami ng investigation dahil nung may lumapit po sa aming CNN, natanong po sa amin yan. Na bagay na talagang sabi ko, hindi ko alam yan, pero magpa-imbestiga tayo. Ngayon, sir, ang nangyari, pinuntahan nila yung mga sinasabi nilang nagre-reklamo. Yung mga kapatid na Muslim, yung mga Seventh-day Adventist, lahat silang nagsasabing hindi naman totoo, sir. Kasi sila mismo ang involved doon para kumuha ng pagkain nila, sir. So, ang sabi ko nga, may mga classmate kaming Muslim din, mismong kutsara kapag nailagay sa isang may pagkaing baboy, ibig kong sabihin, baboy na karni, sir, hindi mo na pwedeng gamitin pa. Ganun kaselan, sir. So alam namin yon. At ang investigation, sir, talagang sinungalingan yan. Yun, sir, ang findings doon.
Ibig pong sabihin, Chairman, hindi po ito totoo.
Hindi po totoo.
Wala pong nangyaring ganyan. Kasi, nakukonsensya po ako kay Ilian kasi
Yes, sir.
nung nagpasimuno ng caterer dyan sa Bilibid. Ang nangyari po dyan kasi, nung ako po yung napiit, ito po ang malungkot dyan kapag dumating ang rasyon ng pagkain dati, hilaw May manok, may baka, gulay. Sino yung siga? Siya ang meron. Opo, tapos aasuhin na lang nung ibig sabihin nung aasuhin. Halimbawa, yung buto nung pinaglutuan niya, pagkatapos niyang akainin yun, ipapasa dun sa kabila. Sa kawawang tao, siya naman, iluluto niya uli yun, aasuhin naman niya. Ganun. Kaya ang ginawa namin, nagreklamo po kami kay General Binaraw. Ang ginawa niya, ginawang parang American style. Naging social kami ng konti, naging catering na para pantay-pantay na po. Pero yung sa mga Muslim po at sa Seventh-day Adventist, nanatili po silang raw, nanatiling hilaw. Ganun pa rin po ba hanggang ngayon?
Ganun po, Chairman at Senator po. Ganun po kasi sila po ang kumukuha at sila po ang nagluluto ng kanilang pagkain.
Ayun.
Kahit po, kasi galing naman po kayo, pwede kayo magbisita uli sa amin po. Pero hindi sa...
Opo. Bisita na lang po, ha?
Yes, sir. Punta po kayo anytime, sir.
Marami tayong kakosa doon, ha? Ayoko na doon. Meron ba po ako isang tanong pa, Chairman? Alam po. Opo, para po
Go ahead, sir.
sa atin pong dating kasama sa OSG po. Sir, tanong ko lang po, noong tayo po ay nagkaroon ng pag-uusap sa online, napag-usapan po yung Saba issue. Opo, patungkol po ito doon sa nanalo po yung ating Sultanate of Sulu at tayo po yung makakasingil ng $14.9 billion. Ang sabi niyo po noon, nakikipag-usap na po kayo sa Sultanate. Pero na po bang balita?
Magandang umaga po, Senator Robin. Actually, wala naman pong kahit sinong partido na lumalapit sa office ng Solicitor General para idulog ang anumang concern nila tungkol dyan sa arbitral award na yan, na apparently on the surface ay parang private parties ang involved as far as the Philippine side is concerned. Ganun pa man, Senator, ay nagkusa ang Office ng Solicitor General na pag-aralan ng masusi kung ang award na ito yung French Arbitral Award, which is now under appeal, if I'm not mistaken, ay mayroong implikasyon sa ating long-standing Philippine claim sa Sabah. Kaya ako po ay nagbuo ng isang malaking team sa loob ng Office ng Solicitor General para pag-aralan muli ang historical basis ng Philippine claim sa Sabah at isang grupo rin na mag-aaral naman ng pinagmulan at kasalukuyang estado ng arbitration na nag-involve sa Sultanate of Sulu. At ang aming intention ay ipag-connect eventually yung French Arbitral Award ay meron pong implication, if at all, doon sa ating sovereign claim sa Sabah. Sa ngayon po ay patuloy, Senator, ang masusing pag-aaral na ginagawa ng OSG. Ito po ay isang bagay na napaka-komplikado, napaka-sensitibo, kaya po kami nag-iingat at lahat ng materials na po pwede naming makalap ay aming kinakalap para po makapag-offer sa ating gobyerno, sa ating executive department, sa ating kongreso ng mga nararapat na rekomendasyon kung ano po ang dapat nating gawin tungkol dito sa bagay na ito. But going back to your question, Senator, wala pong kahit sinong private party na lumalapit at least sa Office ng Solicitor General para hilingin ang aming tulong o ang tulong ng Philippine government o makialam dito sa arbitration na kasalukuyang pending appeal sa isang arbitration tribunal.
Opo, sir, malinaw naman po na magkahiwalay yung sovereignty, no? Saka doon po sa partnership na rights na hinahabol ng Sultanate of Sulu. Opo, kasi kung sovereignty po tayo, medyo malabo talaga po yun. Medyo relationship natin sa Malaysia ang pinag-uusapan dyan, ano? Pero sana lang po, ako na po siguro ang kakausap sa Sultanate of Sulu para makipag-usap po sa inyo dahil sayang po ito, sir. Napakalaking bagay po ito, malaking maitutulong nito sa ating ekonomiya kung ito po ay tunay. Tayo po sa tax lang po niyan, isipin nyo mga palagay ko pa ganyan, 35% yan no? 35% po yan Aba, malaking-laking ano po yan, sir. Hihingi ko po ng tulong po sa inyo yan.
Nasa inyo pong initiative, Senator, kung gusto niyo pong makipag-ugnayan sa heirs of the Sultanate of Sulu. Kami naman po sa Office ng Solicitor General bilang counsel ng Republic ay nakahandang makipag-usap para masusi po nating makita kung yan ay isang totally private matter or mayroong koneksyon sa soberanya ng Pilipinas. Kasi po ay may mga reports din na ang Sultanate of Sulu ay nag-cede or nag-transfer ng sovereignty kung meron man siya na sovereignty before sa Philippine Republic. Kaya po yun ay isang anggulo na tinitingnan.
Malinaw naman po yun, sir, na talagang sa panahon pa po ni Makapagal, hindi po ni Ma'am Gloria, doon po sa tatay, ay nag-transfer na po sila ng sovereignty sa Pilipinas. Yun lang po talaga yung sa business side. At pati po sa ruling po ng French arbitral, malinaw po yun na hindi siya sovereignty issue. Usapan na lang po natin. Basta maliwanag po ngayon ay open po kayo. Opo. Isa na lang pong tanong, Chairman. Kasi meron po akong issue sa NBI.
Actually, you have 3 minutes pa. So,
Opo.
gusto niyo ubusin ho yun, sir?
6 years ago na po ito. Nakakalungkot po ito nung minsan meron akong inireklamo sa NBI na isang nag-threat sa anak ko. Nagpunta po ako sa NBI, nagreklamo ako doon sa inyong cybercrime. Ang nakalulungkot po, hindi na po ako binalikan ng NBI.
Good morning, sir. Hindi ko po alam yung kaso sa ngayon, pero
Siyempre ko, 6 years ago.
titingnan ko po pagbalik ko sa opisina, kukunin ko po ang details sa staff ninyo or kung maibigay po ninyo sa amin para ma-follow up ko po doon sa aming cybercrime office.
Yun po ang mahirap Yun po ang malungkot, sir. Paano po kung ang isang katulad ko, ako pa po ang magpa-follow up? hindi ba po dapat ang ating mga law enforcement ang sila po ang nagsasabi sa amin kung ano ang nangyayari sa kaso. Tumanda na po ako, yung anak ko nagtatatakbo na ngayon.
Opo sir,
Opo.
humingi ng paumanhin ang NBI at kaagad-agad po naming babalikan yung kaso na inihain nyo sa amin 6 years ago. Papahanap ko po.
Maraming salamat po, sir. Ano ko lang po sana, hindi ko naman po sa sariling motibo ito. Kumbaga, nire-represent ko din po yung taong bayan, ano? Kasi kung ako po ay nalungkot ng 6 na taon, paano pa po yung ibang tao? Yun lamang po, maraming salamat po, Sir Lemos.
Paumanhin po uli sir at actionan po namin kagad pagbalik ko sa opisina.
Salamat po, Chairman. Maraming salamat po.
Salamat, Senator Robin Hood. Is the chair of our Committee on Constitutional Amendments. So, baka may gusto kayong palitan sa Constitution, sabihin niyo po. Kay Senator Robin.
Nakuha ko na po yung commitment ng ating mahal na kalihim. Sinusuportahan po niya, mahal na tagapangulo, yung ating regionalization ng bilangguan para yung mga kakosa po natin makasama na nila yung mga pamilya nila sa mga kanilang mga lugar. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. Thank you. Salamat, Senator Robin. Ito po yung order, no? So, si Vice Chair Sherwin, Senator Sherwin, Minority Leader Coco, Vice Chair Senator Bato de la Rosa, Senator Rafi Tulfo, and then Senate President Pro Tem Legarda. Vice Chair Senator Sherwin, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, ako naman po, maganda naman po yung naging karanasan ko sa NBI. And personally, I want to thank NBI for arresting the suspect who stole 1 million pesos from my credit card in year 2021. I reported that immediately after, and then after I think 3 or 4 months, the suspect was arrested. No? And that also gave rise to a lot of reforms in fighting cybercrime, to include the SIM card registration. No? So I'd like to thank NBI for that immediate response to my complaint. However, I was looking at the budget of NBI, no? And looking at the presentation earlier, the budget of NBI was cut by 20%. Tama po ba, sir? No? Dito po sa presentation na nakita ko.
Yes sir, as explained to me by our budget officer, that would include the 356 million congressional initiative. But if it would be compared NEP versus NEP, the difference would only be -6. The
If you compare it from the 2022 GAA,
yes sir,
to the 2023 NEP, the decrease is about 469 million pesos.
yes sir, that would include the 356 million congressional initiative the previous year.
Okay. My question, sir,
Yes,
is will this affect the operations of NBI? Of course, there's a lot of room for improvement. No, my experience was positive. Of course, the experience of Senator Robin was contrary to that. But the cut by 20% or 469 million, will that affect the operations of NBI?
Yes sir, that's why we are knocking at the doors again of the senators and the congressmen to support the budget of the NBI.
In what way will it be affected, sir?
Sir, those would include the procurement of some of our equipment for enforcement operations. And at the moment, we are still in the process of bidding out the equipment. So much so that on record, we have not yet expended the 356 million.
Okay. That can you elaborate, sir, what the equipment will be used for and how it will be affected? Because I want to put that on record, no, and later on when we put all the budgets together, we'll knock on the kind graces of our chairman and to see we can augment your budget, no? Because, like I said, it's a very important agency, and in my case, cybercrime is a crime that is flourishing in many jurisdictions, including our country, and we would like to see that NBI is equipped and updated, especially fighting this type of cyber crimes. So I just want to put on record, if the cut will negatively affect the operations of NBI, particularly cybercrime, no? And I keep on repeating this because it's a crime that I see flourishing in our country. No? We get a lot of spam, we get a lot of phishing emails, and I get a lot, to be honest, so ang dami kong messages from Facebook. In fact, the people who were victimized by phishing has organized themselves and sent emails to us, no, to look at this. So I just want to make sure that NBI is equipped. Not only NBI, but PNP as well. No? But in this particular case, NBI is equipped with the necessary tools to fight cybercrime.
Yes, sir. We'll be submitting the specifics of our procurement, but what I have here with me now is that we have some procurement for digital forensic equipment, integrated identification, ballistic identification system, firearms and ammunition, intelligence information system project, and night vision goggles. These are some of the projects which are covered by the 356 million congressional insertion. And from the enumeration of this equipment, if we cannot have this, then it would greatly affect the operation of the agency. Sir.
Sir, please submit to us that breakdown and a justification on reinstating that over 400 plus million in terms of equipment and tools. And we'll try our best to reinstate that cut that was made from at least naman lang from the 2022 JA. I know your request is quite staggering. No? It's about 7 billion pesos. I think that is close to impossible to allocate. But at least naman po, mapantay natin sa 2022 GAA or a little bit more.
Thank you, sir. We'll submit the list.
Yeah. Another question will be for the Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force. Secretary, may I direct the question to whom?
Yusek Vasquez, or no, Yusek Nikiti is here. Is online, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Yusek. Nikki.
I saw him online, Yusek
Ayun.
Niki.
Yeah,
Online.
Nikki T.
Yes.
Again, the country has made a lot of progress fighting human trafficking. And in the latest report, we maintained our tier 1 category in terms of fighting human trafficking. That's a great leap from the 2016 tier 2 category. And I'd like to sustain that. In fact, when I was a mayor locally, we were trying to do our part in terms of fighting human trafficking. We also created our own small task force, educated our teenagers on the modus operandi of human trafficking. So human trafficking is a clear and present danger in our country, and it's still happening right now. Whether through the legitimate gates or through the back door, but it's happening. However, I also saw in the budget that almost 34% was cut. No, this is the anti-trafficking in persons enforcement. No, from the 2022 GAA of 90 million to the 2023 net of 59 million. And I just want to also juxtapose that to the new expanded anti-human trafficking law that was approved June of 2022. No? So, Yusek, my question is, with this cut, will it affect our standing in terms of human trafficking? And again, how will the cut affect the operations in terms of fighting human trafficking in our country?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Senator, for your question. We acknowledge that the 2023 NEP proposes a significant cut in the budget of the Interagency Council Against Trafficking. And we also acknowledge that this cut has the potential to affect the operations of IACAT as well as the DOJ in combating human trafficking. It's good, sir, that you pointed out the recent legislation that was passed, the expanded anti-trafficking law. But on top of that, there's another related piece of legislation that became law that was passed, the anti-OSAEC and CSAM law. And these two pieces of legislation puts DOJ and IACAT in a better position to combat human trafficking, OSAEC, and other related crimes. And we will need an increased budget for that, definitely. Among other things, there's a new group, a new subdivision of IACAT that was created by the anti-OSAM law, which we will need funding for to hire the personnel for this. On top of that, we have added need for training because under the NEP, I understand that our training budget was completely slashed. So we hope that the training budget can be restored to what it was before. And aside from training, another item that was completely slashed was our confidential funds from 2022. We hope that this can be restored as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, Yusek, I'm with you in fighting human trafficking in our country. And like I said, during my time as a local chief executive, in our own little way, we created programs and a little task force, no, to help DOJ and to
With
combat.
your indulgence, Vice Chair
Yeah.
Sherwin, we'd like to acknowledge also another Vice Chair, Senator JV Ejercito, is the chair of our committees on labor and on housing and local government. Yeah. Morning, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Yusek, just will this affect our standing? Will this cut, in your opinion, affect our standing in terms of maintaining the Tier 1 category moving forward?
It could affect our standing, Mr. Senator, because it will put us in a worse position to do our job.
Yusek, submit to us again justification, no? Because it's actually not so much to increase it about little bit about 40 million. Again, just to bring it back to 2022 GAA level. If we can increase it a little bit more, then so much the better. But please submit to us justification on why we should increase it at 2022 level. And if you think that we should increase it some more, please send to us justification, also the breakdown for that increase. Yeah. Freeze si Yusek.
I think nag-free si Yusek. But I'd just like to place on the record, with your permission, Vice Chair Sherwin, Your Honors, we were discussing the NBI budget. This committee actually increased the NBI budget by 300 million. And it also increased the IACAT budget for this year by 25 million because then Secretary Guevara placed it among his priorities. So it's clear that this committee really respects the work of the DOJ and will continue to do so as long as I think these gentlemen are here, Your Honors.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Chair, my last question is to the NBI. And I've heard Senator Bato talk about this sorry, not NBI, but BI, Bureau of Immigration. No, where is that? There. And this is in relation to POGO. No? And we've talked about this extensively in the hearings and also through executive sessions. And we'll be conducting another hearing this Thursday, focusing on the revenue collection of government through POGO. My question to the Bureau of Immigration, is there some form of collaboration between PAGCOR and also the Bureau of Immigration on the number of POGO workers coming in, no? And the reason why I asked that is I was looking at the numbers, but I'll disclose that on Thursday. We should be collecting 25% withholding tax from the POGO workers, but the numbers are not significant, no? And I am just, I want to ask, no, whether the people coming in are synchronized or are in a way related to the PAGCOR's issuance of permits to those workers. Because if you look at the data, the PAGCOR permits more or less is equivalent to the taxes being collected, no? But if you look at the BI data, it's not the same, no? So I just want to know, is there any collaboration between PAGCOR and also with BI in terms of the POGO workers coming in? And at the same time, collaboration between BIR and the BI in terms of POGO workers coming in? Because in the law that we approve, kokolekta ho tayo ng 25% withholding tax, eh. Because in the past, the POGO workers were not paying a single centavo, no? So now we raised it, but we're not, in effect, collecting it because we don't know who are working in POGO or who are working in other businesses, no?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Your Honors. With the permission of the Secretary Rimulya. Now, the Bureau of Immigration requires that the applicants for working visa for the workers should have a tax identification number to ensure that the BIR has a record of these employees by the POGO. And we have collaboration or coordination with PAGCOR since these POGO workers are endorsed by the prospective employers to immigration in applying the working visa. And BI only issues visa which has a valid license from PAGCOR. But lately, we have been confronted with the issues of several workers which have already expired visas or they have already transferred to another employers or POGO companies. And in collaboration also with the PNP, the NBI, and under the leadership of Secretary Remulla, are trying to address the situation, Your Honors.
Have you detected any Chinese person or people who are from China, but they work in POGO, but they don't have the necessary license? Have you detected those type of activities in our country?
Yes, Your Honor, and in fact, we have arrested several of them, and we are already processing their summary deportation orders.
And how did you find out that they are here working in POGO without the necessary license?
Of course, we coordinate with the officers of the PAGCOR, Your Honors, and we conduct surveillance operations on certain buildings, and we also receive reports from concerned citizens from the embassies. So we conduct surveillance operations, and if there is a positive result, we conduct a verification on the company. And once we determine that there is a immigration violation, we outright conduct the apprehension.
How do they come in? What type of visa do they hold when they come in?
As of now, Your Honors, Mr. Chairman, we have suspended already the visa upon arrival program. So basically, there are no more Chinese nationals coming in for purposes of the POGO operations. And recently, the Honorable Secretary of Justice ordered the BI to suspend issuance of visas to applications of uh, employees of POGOs that are not confirmed to have license issued by PAGCOR, Your Honor.
Okay. So in short, wala na hong visa on arrival.
No more, Your Honor.
Okay. And then in short, you will not allow those who are not employees, certified employees by legitimate POGO operators. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Paano ho pag let's say turista or nagpapanggap na turista?
They come in, Your Honor, under the Section 9A visa or the tourist visa issued by the consulates, Your Honor.
So they will enter through the consulate. They will get their visas through the consulates.
Yes,
to
Your
the
Honor.
embassies.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, dun sila papasok.
Yep.
All right. Sir, can you submit to us, please submit to us, no, because we have a hearing on Thursday, the number of people that you have apprehended who have been working in POGOs without the necessary papers for the last 5 years?
We'll do that, Your Honor.
And we'll send you also a list of documents that we will require to complete our analysis on the taxation angle. Senator Bato focused on the peace and order angle, and he established that very well during the hearing. But we want to complete the picture by focusing on the revenue side naman. So we will need data to that effect. And we'll send you an official communication on the number of items that we will need.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Before I recognize Vice Chair, but I'd also like to pursue that line of question. I just have 2 questions, your permission, Your Honors. Because it's related, no? Nabanggit nyo, Commissioner, na nag-deport kayo ng individuals in the POGO business. Tama ba? Na hindi sumunod sa inyong patakaran. Is that true? Can you tell us how many you have deported?
As of now, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman, I don't have the exact number.
Pero in your estimate, 10, 50, 100?
Considering, Your Honor, the restrictions by the Chinese government on the entry of persons to China, we have encountered problems on the deportation of I believe, Your Honor, that notwithstanding the pace of our issuance of summary deportation orders, we have difficulty in, number one, the limited flights.
Yung tanong ko hindi naman whether you had difficulty or not. Ang tanong ko ilan yung na-deport ninyo. So, simple liwanag. Siguro pagkatapos na ng figure, di ba? Bigyan nyo lang yung figure, tapos magpaliwanag kayo. Ilan yun, bakit ganun yung figure, di ba?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't have the number, Your Honor.
You have no idea of the range? Ballpark figure? Less than 100? More than 100? More than 200?
More or less 100, Your Honor.
Ganun. Sige. Hiling na lang namin ho sa inyo, please, Commissioner.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tapos yung, sabi niyo wala ng visa sa pan-arrival. Pero yung na-issuehan ng visa upon arrival dati, ano yun? Pag you revoke that or that's valid until it's revoked? It's valid until, kasi that's not your policy anymore. Pero nung in-issue nyo, yun yung policy ninyo. So ano yun? Valid until revoked? Ano bang status doon? Kailangan bumalik sa inyo yung mga na-issuehan nung visa upon arrival.
Under the Department Circular, Your Honors, issued by the Department of Justice, a visa upon arrival is valid only for 30 days.
I see.
It's not
Okay.
extendable, it's not convertible. Supposed to be the foreign national issued a visa upon arrival should leave the country.
Non-extendable ho yun.
Supposed to be, Your Honor.
Opo. Parang mabaya. Ito palumanag dyan sa supposed to be. Sige, Vice Chair Bato, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just continuation doon sa questioning mo, Mr. Chairman. Yung sabi mo, Commissioner, na pagdating nila, itong visa upon arrival, 30 days lang yun, di ba?
Initial stay around 30 days.
Yan. Halimbawa, pag-lapse yung 30 days, what's your next move?
They are already considered as overstaying, Your Honor. But under Department Circular number 001, before under DC number 41, they were allowed to extend for more than 6 months, not more than 6 months. But upon amendment on January 8, 2020, under DC number 001, they were no longer allowed an extension except for force majeure and medical emergency.
So, granting after 30 days, yeah, extend yun na another 6 months. After 6 months, wala na. So, anong next move mo after 6 months?
They are already considered as overstaying, Your Honor, and we have to arrest, deport if they are already considered as having violated the Philippine immigration laws, Your Honor.
Ano mo sila hanapin?
First, we check on the arrival card, their address, then
Diretso lang kita. I'm sure ginagawa niyo ito na, uy, per records, ito si Hong Chong Kui ay sobrang 6 months na. Hanapin niyo kasi staying nito dito. Are you doing that? Or pinabayaan lang ninyo? Just in case lang, by chance, gumawa ito ng krimen, saka lang niyo malaman na staying na pala ito. So we have to deport him. Aside from the crime that he has committed, by staying earlier dito, hindi na covered with legal papers, so deport. Yun lang, after 6 months, do you have, are you exerting efforts to locate these people? Kung nasaan na ito sila ngayon? Then, most probably, these people with expired visas or nagtatago dito sa Pilipinas, these are the people who are committing crimes. At ito'y pilit na, or the committing crimes or victims of the crimes, yung hinold nila ng matagal, yung ibang pug operators na yung ginawa lang slave na doon na pinapatrabaho na walang labas-labas, kinukulong na, hindi nyo hinahanap itong mga tao na ito kung nasaan na ito sila after 6 months, gano'n.
of course, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman, the Bureau of Immigration exert best efforts to locate these overstaying foreigners. In fact, it is the program of the Secretary to locate these overstaying foreign nationals in the country. Not only Chinese nationals, Your Honor.
Yeah, I hope na ginagawa niyo ito, mag-follow up para mahanap itong mga tao na ito. Then account them to due for deportation, dapat i-deport natin or kasi wala na silang papilis, di ba? Kasi most likely, ako, ramdam ko lang bilang police. Pagramdam ko itong mga tao na ito yung na-involve sa krimen either as offenders or as victims. Ito yung hindi na nalulakit ng mga tao na ito. So I'm just hoping na ginagawa nyo yan. And Mr. Chairman, stated my time pero pwede ko na pulapin. Nandito yung
Actually,
Sige,
I'm
ano?
checking if minority leader kasi ang sunod si minority leader Coco.
Sige.
Ikaw ang sunod sa kanya.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Si online?
I'll give way.
okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Secretary, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We received the list of illegal POGOs. These POGOs were previously licensed, but they did not continue with their licenses, and they stopped paying their dues to PAGCOR. And this totals 216 companies, Your Honor. And with 200 persons per company, that would amount to close to 40,000 people who may be staying in the country illegally because of they're working for a POGO that's not anymore licensed. But the problem, Mr. Chairman, right now that we are facing is the protocol of China in admitting deportations because they have specific requirements of the testing procedures. I think they did 3 tests before they are admitted to the People's Republic of China. So this afternoon, Mr. Chairman, I'll be speaking to the ambassador of China to make sure that our protocol for deportation is followed properly so that we may be able to start deporting these people. And we cannot immediately stop the operation of all these POGOs, Mr. Chairman, because it may cause a humanitarian crisis. This already happened, Mr. Chairman, prior to the pandemic, that Quezon City Police arrested 342 workers who had to be housed and fed by the Quezon City Police for more than 1 year, Mr. Chairman. And they had to improvise and come up with the funding that would be necessary to deport them. So this is the reason why I have to meet the Chinese ambassador this afternoon. I will be meeting with him to make sure that the procedures for deportation will be smooth and that we can start our job. I can start our job of cleaning up these pogos that are illegal, and probably we will seek the guidance of the Senate in other matters related to this crisis, Your Honor.
Thank you. We appreciate the update, Secretary. And yes, Vice Chair.
Just one
Gatchalian.
follow-up question, Mr. Chair, just to pursue the questioning
Yes.
of Senator Bato. Commissioner, in your estimate, kasi meron kayong record na pumapasok, tama po ba?
Yes, Your
May
Honor.
record kayong lumalabas, tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Doon sa declaration nila, the length of stay, correct?
On the admission, Your Honor, made by the immigration officer at the airport.
Yeah, at may admission and then you have records also. All of these are computerized.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ilan po in your estimate ang overstaying? Sa Pogo lang, Pogo lang. We're just focusing on Pogo.
As of,
Pogo related, Pogo
yes, Your
related.
Honor. We have an estimated number of, as mentioned by the Secretary, about 40,000, Your Honor.
Mga 40,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
I'll also follow up on that. Ilan ba yung na-issue yung visa upon arrival na Repogo related, Commissioner?
I'll check the records, Your Honor.
Sige po. And itingnan nyo na rin ilan yung in-extend ninyo nung visa upon arrival. Yung once, sabi nyo, after 30 days, you're giving them 60 days ba or 6 months? So whether it's any form of extension, ilan yung nabigyan nun?
Yeah, please. We're getting the exact number on the...
Mahirap ba hanapin yung datos, Commissioner?
Your Honor, I still have to get the data on the legal pogos in the country right now.
Opo.
So then maybe we can add that figure also, multiply it by 200 at least, as a minimum.
Yung legal po.
Yes, Your Honor.
Opo. Kasi baka may overstaying din ho doon.
Yes, Your Honor.
Opo.
This is something that we will have to consult the Senate about.
Opo. I think we're just trying to come to grips with the problem. I guess we were fairly liberal in the past with the entry because akala natin beneficial sa atin. But now, of course, attitudes are changing and we want to tighten up on our public order and other aspects. No, so siguro yung datos very important yung role ng BI dito. Yes, Vice Chair ba to? Yeah.
Mr. Chair, according to PAGCOR, there are only 35 licensed POGOs with PAGCOR as of September 1, 2022. So 35 times, ano sir, sabi mo? 200
Times 200. Sinabi ni Secretary.
200.
Yeah. That's 700.
More or less.
7,000 rather, sorry. 7,000.
7,000, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr.
Approximate.
Chairman, thank you.
Sandali lang, with your indulgence, we're just waiting for two numbers, Minority Leader. Is that all right?
Sige po.
More or less 50,000, Your Honor.
Yun yung na-issuehan ng visa upon arrival, ho?
Yes, Your Honor.
In what period, ho?
And 2017 to 2018.
Just 1 year, ho?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then after that, wala na hong na-issue na visa upon arrival.
Naman, Your Honor.
And how many were extended from 2018 to the present, Your Honor?
Extension tayo. Extension. Extension. Ilan yung...
Yeah, I just find it very curious that this data is not at your disposal, Commissioner. Yeah. Oh, well, bago siya, pero there should be a record. There should be a institutional memory, Your Honor.
Uh, 4 days.
But your background, sir, Commissioner, is, Your Honor, is you previously in the BI?
Yes, Your Honor, but I resigned in 2017. So
Okay.
I was out for about 5 years. But
I see.
the estimate,
And
Your Honor,
previous to that, you were in the agency for how long, Commissioner?
9 years, Your Honor.
9 years, okay. Sige po, baka may sagot na po tayo.
Based on only an estimate, Your Honor, about the 50% of the
50% were extended.
yes, Your Honor.
What happened to the other 50%?
They left.
There is a record of their departure, yung kalahati ho nun?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. We'll now turn it over to the Minority Leader, Senator Coco Pimentel, sir. You have your 10 minutes.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Chairman. Magandang umaga po sa lahat. To the Justice family led by the Justice Secretary. And of course, the former Justice Secretary is also with us. So, welcome. Ito po, I still remember the committee hearing last year. Medyo we were impressed with the figures presented by the DOJ last time. Itong mga increased case disposition, the reduction of the case backlogs, and I'm glad to see the trend continue. That the trend has continued. So, and itong napaka-importante yung prosecution success rate po, tumaas pa rin. But can I bring your attention to slide number 11? Pwede po ba yan, sir? We also have the Public Attorney's Office favorable disposition percentage of 83%. May I know how this was computed? Ma'am?
With the permission of the Honorable Chairman. Your Honor, we have our field offices and statistics service at the central office. We have statisticians collating all the monthly reports, the annual reports, based on acquittals, dismissal, motion to quash granted, demurrer to evidence granted, provisional dismissal, conviction to a lesser offense, probation granted, dismiss on compromise agreement, other favorable dispositions, and preliminary investigations filed in court when we were the counsel for the victim. During preliminary investigation, dismissal when we were assisting the accused or respondent, pre-trial releases and other favorable dispositions such as granting of bails, recognizance, diversion of children in conflict with the law, suspended sentence, and then when the maximum imposable penalty was served and they are released. So whenever the judgment or the action of our judicial bodies and courts are favorable to the accused, we consider them as our winning, Your Honor. So based on our annual report, as of June 30 of this year, Your Honor, we have acquittals. Total number of persons deprived of liberty assisted, this only for half year to this year, Your Honor, assisted pursuant to Republic Act 10951, released by virtue of filing petition for 145 accused benefited. And then we have petitions filed, 663. And then the total number of release has a total of 40,834. So the releases include not only from the Bureau of Corrections, but also from the various jails in court handled by the BJMP, by the Office of the Provincial Governor as well as from the police stations. We have released only cognizance after service of minimum sentence 939, releases due to provisional dismissal of case 4,658, released on account of preventive imprisonment equal to maximum imposable penalty while case is still pending, 1,074 inmates benefited. Release due to completion of service of sentence, case is already terminated, 11,327. Releases for other legal reasons, 22,836, Your Honor. All of our public attorneys nationwide are working hard so that the increases in their salaries and allowances will be justified, Your Honor. They are all inspired because of the act of Congress in enacting the Public Act 9406 or the PAR law since 2007 and the previous application of SSL 5 wherein the minimum
Yung volume lang ho natin eh. Ibaba natin ng konti, ma'am. Yung volume ng boses ho.
Okay na rin, Mr. Chairman. Madam, okay na po yun. Okay na
Dito
po.
medyo malakas ho sa...
Hindi, okay na po yung...
Malakas pa.
Medyo malakas.
Okay na po yung sagot. Okay na po. So, I can ask my, son,
Medyo mahina ba dyan sa'yo? Sige po.
okay na yung sagot.
Yun ang request ho ni Minority Leader.
The Attorney Acosta can already terminate her answer. Okay na po yun. We'll just...
Okay na daw yung sagot ninyo.
Sana kami, to how did we arrive at 83.05% for 2021 and the first semester of 2022.
Okay na daw. Sabi ni, kumbaga, yung sagot nyo 100 plus na daw. Sabi ni,
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, Minority Leader.
Tama si Chairman po na may plus 10% na po yan sa mata ko. Opo. Opo. Hindi, pagdating po, kaya wala na po akong matanong tuloy sa slide 11 except to commend the PCGG. If you look at slide 11, there is a recovery. Tama ba pagkaintindi ko? Of 588 million pesos recovered by the PCGG and this will be now be surrendered to the Bureau of Treasury. Tama po ba pagkaintindi ko rin?
The chairperson, Mr. Agbayani, to answer.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, with the permission of the Secretary. Yes, Mr. Chairman, tama po yan. It's now with the Bureau of Treasury.
And then there's another slide where you have also a projection for next year. You will turn over again another amount?
410 million, Mr. Chairman.
That's a projection, sir, no? For next year?
That's our targeted major final output for next year. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So another 410. And okay, so and then what happened to your budget? Bumaba ba?
The net cut our budget, Mr. Chairman, by 20 million, primarily due to underutilization last year. So that's why we have an outstanding request to restore our previous budget of 160 million, considering that we have returned to normal and we would need the essential services and requirements during normal times. That's only worth 12 million, Mr. Chairman, and plus a capital outlay of 9 million or more or less 20 million. That's our outstanding request to the good chairman of the Committee on Appropriation. However, Mr. Chairman, just to add up, actually we have met with the Secretary of Justice and informed him that our commitment for a 410 million target in 2023 will be increased to 600 million. That's our commitment, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, how can you increase the commitment by 190 million? Anong nakikita ninyo?
We have amended our target when we reviewed our commitment, considering that historically we were delivering at least 600 million for the last 5 years. So I said we should continue that level of 600 million because anyway that is achievable.
Good. Sige. So we should consider the presentation amended, kung ganon.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Sige, but you need that additional 20 million to be able to deliver that 600 million.
It can be done. We will be very appreciative of that, Mr. Chairman.
Sige, thank you very much. Pagdating po, can I ask the Office of the Alternative Dispute Resolution? We have the number of practitioners, ADR practitioners to be trained. The number of ADR practitioners trained, 1,200 last year out of your budget. So for the past years, ilan na po ba ang na-training natin? How many practitioners do we have as of the moment?
Yeah, we'll ask Attorney Algo to answer, ma'am.
Yes, with the permission of the Secretary, Mr. Chair, for the past years, as of today, Mr. Chair, we have a total of 167 ADR neutrals that were accredited. They were not only trained but already accredited by the OADR. For the individual practitioners, we have 35. And then for the public ADR program of government agencies, we have 2. That's the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines and the PAGCOR. And for private ADR organizations, we have 9. These are the accredited ADR practitioners apart from those that were trained by the OADR, Mr. Chair.
Oo nga. So because we need to train them and then through practice and additional knowledge, then you accredit them. So in short, how many ADR practitioners are already accredited by the office?
As of August 2022, Mr. Chair, 167 neutrals who belong to ADR provider organizations, ADR practitioners who had themselves accredited by themselves without the help of the ADR provider organizations, that's 35.
So, okay, so there are 2 categories pala. Okay, at least naintindihan na natin. But when you add up the 2 categories, around 200 lang po yun. Tama ba yan, ma'am?
Mr. Chair.
Okay, sige. This is alternative dispute resolution. Ano bang mga the kinds of these alternative dispute resolutions that we are teaching and we are promoting?
Mr. Chair, we have currently the modules on mediation that is patterned from the training provided by the Singapore Mediation Center. And then we also have the module on commercial arbitration that is also patterned with the SIARB, Mr. Chair, and other international...
With your permission, Attorney Algo, I just want to recognize another committee vice chair who's also the chair of the Senate Justice Committee, Senator Francis Tolentino. In fact, he was asking the Supreme Court yesterday about the topic you're mentioning precisely, because his view is that we should do more modules on arbitration, commercial, civil arbitration.
Diyan ako papunta, Mr. Chairman. Diyan ako papunta.
Okay, sorry. I was just informing the body. I did not mean to preempt you, Minority Leader. Go ahead, sir.
Sige. At least na-mention na po ng ating head, mediation, commercial arbitration. So meaning to say, tama ba yung ang aking naisip na it is through your office that we will be producing competent arbitrators or practitioners in ADR who can possibly sit in international organizations?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we are the one conducting the trainings. Essentially, we are a training institution and an oversight agency of the Department of Justice that is in charge of monitoring the status of ADR in the Philippines, and we're also promoting and advocating ADR. And Mr. Chair, if I may add, we'll also be coming up with the module on negotiation that is programmed after the program on negotiation of the Harvard Law School.
And since andyan na rin si Senator Tolentino, I'm sure he will continue with this line of questioning. So last point na lang po ako, Mr. Chairman. Pagdating po tayo sa ating penitentiary at saka sa karpeta, Parang meron akong figure dito na around 49,000 po yung ating average. Ano? Tama po. Andiyan ba si General Bantag?
Nandito po si General Bantag,
Ah,
Minority Leader.
I think meron kayong figure na binigay, average number of inmates. So that's more or less, diyan po naglalaro yung number natin in our 7 to 8 penitentiaries. Tama po ba yun?
Tama yun, sir, Mr. Chair, sir.
How many
49,000.
49,000 plus, no? Yan ang ating figure,
Yes,
no?
yes, sir.
And they're being held in how many prisons?
7, sir.
In 7. Oh, tama, in 7. So, and then what is the obligation of Bucor as far as the food requirements of the 49,000? Do you feed them 3 or 5 times a day?
3 times a day only, sir.
3 times a day. And
Yes, sir.
tinitignan ko kasi yung budget ninyo nung magkano ano natin? Magkano ang ating budget for one meal?
Mr. Chair and Senator Coco Pimentel, hindi ko po alam talaga. Pero ang budget po na binibigay ng government sa isang PDL, 70 pesos per day.
Okay.
That,
Per
times
day.
49,000, hindi ko po yung... Ano nga po?
Sige. When we compute your budget, siyempre kasama dun yung meals expense, and then we have the number of our prisoners, and then ginagamit natin 70 pesos per day.
Tama po yun, Mr. Chair and Senator Coco, sir. Pero ang nangyayari nga po pala, nagkakaroon pa ng bidding yan. Hindi po ako expert dyan sa bidding na yan. Gusto ko pong alamin pero wala po yata yung nakakaalam dito.
Sige lang sir. Para lang just to guide me dun sa ano, kasi yun ang malaking expense talaga yun eh. 70 pesos times 49,000 times 365 days, yun po yung ating annual budget for meals. Anyway, we can compute that, sir, with using a calculator. At mabuti naman po na raise na rin po natin yung matter of the POGOs, and then the secretary is going to talk to the ambassador of China. And China's policy kasi is I think they have requested us for a long time to prohibit the operation of POGOs here in our country, kasi ang victims kasi nito, ang players, taga doon sa mainland China rin eh. So ang tanong ko na lang siguro kay Secretary of Justice, since we are now actually publicly discussing the possibility of reversing our policy on POGO and making this unlawful or illegal here in the Philippines, so I'm sure marami na rin sigurong mag-close shop or magda-downsize, and then hindi ba pwede, sir, na hindi ba possibility rin na yung mga POGO workers ay on their own ay umuwi na po sila, that it's not that we do not have to resort to deportation. Umuwi na po sila sa kanilang sariling gastos, kanilang sariling initiative.
Your Honor, that's possible, Your Honor. Self-deportation is an option. If we're able to close down the illegal POGOs, we just have to be able to monitor these people, Your Honor, because the policy of China now is for those who come home to go back to China coming from a POGO, their passports are immediately destroyed or cut. So they will not be able to travel anymore after that. And that they are also hounded by the government to pay a certain fine when they go home. So that's already one of the problems that we are facing now, Mr. Chairman, with regards to self-deportation, because many of them may not consider going home a very good option for themselves.
So yeah, now I understand. Ganun pala. Now I'm getting a clearer picture now. So maybe China has to do something, not to make it parang not to disincentivize their people from going home voluntarily to their country. Yun siguro ang ipakiusap din natin sa People's Republic of China. Kasi ang mangyayari, kung tatakutin nila yung kanilang mga kababayan na nandito, ayaw na talaga umuwi. Then sakit ng ulo natin yun. Dapat ayaw nila ng pogo, victimizing their own people. Therefore, and we are stopping it. They should welcome back their own people who are here, who will no longer have employment. Magiging public charge na po yung mga yan sa atin. So siguro, I don't know, tama ba, Mr. Secretary, na pakiusap natin yon as a country, as a one government approach, pakiusap natin sa China?
Yes, Your Honor. We will look at every humanitarian angle in the treatment of these people who will have to leave our country. Now, in the first phase, Your Honor, is the illegal pogos. We will have to stop their operation. So these people will have no more jobs to go back to. So they really have to leave our country. But because if they are found to be documented or their documents have expired already, we will have to deport them really by application of law. But that is no matter that we're looking at because we are not prepared for this logistically right now. We will have to compute all the necessary logistics necessary to be able to carry out a deportation plan, Mr. Chairman, if they will not self-deport.
Yes, yun na nga. Kaya nga, China can lessen the reasons for them not to want to go home. Yan lang ang gawin din natin yun so that, kaysa naman sa atin na yung bola, I mean, hindi dapat hindi dapat kasi in the first place, lumabas din naman ng China yan sila legally from the point of view of China. So they should be allowed to return to their home country.
Yes, Your Honor. I will make it known to the ambassador this afternoon. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Chairman, alam ko marami kayong physically present dyan. So I yield back to you. But sa plenary na lang, sir, kung meron akong mga nalimutang points, just allow me to pursue some of the points. Thank you, sir.
Of course, Your Honor. Thank you very much, Minority Leader Senator Coco Pimentel. Before I turn it over back to Vice Chair Bato de la Rosa, there is a phone-in question from a member of the media. How many estimated Chinese nationals have expired visas? I guess this is a broader question kasi yung kanina, yung commissioner, yung tanong mga tungkol sa Pogo no? Ito, how many Chinese nationals have expired visas?
Mr. Chairman.
Opo.
To be honest, Mr. Chairman, I don't have the number right now.
Ano na lang? When do you think you can give it to us?
Yeah, this afternoon, Your Honor.
Okay. Salamat po, Commissioner. Now we'll turn the floor over to Vice Chair Senator De La Rosa, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My concerns are not really on the budget because alam kong laging kulang ang budget ng DOJ, lalong-lalo itong Bucor dahil nga ang tingin talaga ng DBM sa Bucor ay last priority. Compared to health, compared to education, yung Bucor last priority yan kaya alam ko kulang-kulang yung kailang budget. But more on parochial issues, Mr. Chairman, on my committee as Committee on Public Order. Just to continue my questions kayo na, Mr. Chairman. Yung sa Bucor lang, I'm happy that you restore back yung GCTA. Maraming salamat, sir, dahil marami talagang tao doon na unfairly deprived dahil sa yung pagputol ng Bucor ng panahon ng dating boss ko, si Secretary Guevara. Dahil nga sa yung issues about GCTA for sale. Sana wala na GCTA for sale ngayon. Gusto ko lang matanong kung ano ba tayo? Computerized ba yung ating karpeta?
Mr. Chair, sir. Sir, computerized na po yung Bucor, 99% na po.
Yung karpeta?
Yes, sir.
Wala okay na. So there's no avenue or approach for corruption yung karpeta for sale?
Wala na, sir, in our part, lalo na ngayon, sir, at Dalawa na ang Secretary of Justice namin, sir. Dalawa na, sir, ang tumututok. Kaya okay na, sir.
Mabuti naman. That's a good to know.
Mr. Chairman, we're finalizing the linking up of the information because if the Bucor has its own computerization, it's not integrated yet with the BJMP because the time of detention is not linked yet to the computer system of Bucor. So we're currently doing this so that we can link up together with the Law and Probation Administration so that every month, the goal is every month, the information will pop up on who should be entitled to GCTA, who should be entitled to parole and to probation, so we can do this automatically for the next few years after this, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Maganda po yan. Dahil during
Can I
the
just
time...
clarify with your permission, Vice Chair? Sec, what you're saying is yung computerized sila, yung sa kabila hindi. So yung detention period hindi nabibilang kung na-serve na yung sentence.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just to clarify. Thank you, Sec.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Because during my time, pasok ng PDL doon, coming from BJMP, pag-deliver, yung escort mismo, kaya yung priso, may bit-bit na karpita. Pero turnover doon sa RDC natin, di ba? Ito na lang po ang kulang ko, dahil meron nasa karpita ko na, nakaserve na ako doon ng ganito, ganon. So maganda pala yung computerized na ngayon at hindi na burden ng... Meron pa silang hinahire na mga, ano yan, yung semi-legal, ano daw yan? Paralegal na doon para taga-compute. Yung mga paralegal nito, mga masyadong maro ito. Pipirahan pa nila yung kapwa nilang priso doon sa loob para computein lang. Dahil wala talagang know-how yung priso doon. Gusto mo computein kita, magbigay ka muna. Yung share mo, pagkain mo for 1 week, dito mo sa akin ibigay para computein ko yung yung karpeta mo. So, maganda kung computerized talaga, corruption coming from Bucor officials, employees themselves, at saka corruption from within the PDLs themselves. Mawala na talaga pag meron ng computerization. So, maraming salamat at ginawa na niyo yan. And, thank you. Ang akin lang, tayo ngayon, nag-release na kayo ng mga GCTA or whatever, yung role or whatever, nag-release ninyo. Ang tanong ko is, talaga bang escortan nyo ito pa-uwi? Kung saan sila uwi?
Unang-una, sir, Mr. Chair, with the permission of our Secretary, sir. Correction lang po yung pagkakaalam ninyo, yung kanina, pagkakaintindi nyo. Hindi po computerized ang Bucor na naka-interlink sa BJMP. Doon lang po sa Bucor yun.
Okay, no problema. At least malaki improvement na yan. O wala akong problema doon.
Pagdating po ng BJMP PDL, i-encode pa po nila yung...
Dalapan karpeta. Uncarried, ha? Uncarried karpeta. Okay, wala problema. Basta importante, hindi tayo masingitan ng kalokohan. So, going back to my question, yung nirelease ninyo ng mga PDL ngayon, whatever reasons, kung ito through GCTA or what, sinumahan ba nyo ito? Kung natin nyo kung saan sila
Yes, sir, kasi mayroon na tayong sir, na procure ng mga transportation at mayroon tayong external office, directorate, sir. Pumupunta sila sa DSW at sa LGU po kung saan nakatira po yung PDL needing assistance. Pero yung po ang mga able-bodied at saka yung pong kaya namang umuwi pong mag-isa ay umuwi po.
With your permissions, gentlemen, I just want to tell the body that you can have your lunch. If it's okay, Secretary, that we have a working lunch. Kasi after Senator De La Rosa, dalawa na lang ang nakaano. So I'm sure you'll appreciate na tapusin na natin, di ba, Sec? Kung dalawa na lang ang natitira. After Senator De La Rosa, it's Vice Chair De La Rosa, it's Senator Rafi, and then Senator Tol. So please have your lunch and don't the interruption, Vice Chair.
No problem, Mr. Chairman. Yung kinatakutan ko kasi, no? Marami kayong nirelease dyan sa PDLs. Dadami na naman yung squatter dyan sa loob ng Bucor. Dahil yung iba dyan, hindi na uwi sa probinsya nila dahil mga pamilya nila nandiyan na sa loob ng Bucor compound nakatira. Sabi mo, ihatid mo sa terminal, ihatid mo sa bus. Pag hatid mo doon, iniwan mo yun doon. sasakay ng jeep yan, pabalik ng Bucor at nandun yung pamilya na nakatira. Kaya problema mo dyan sa squatting, ayaw na gamitin yung term squatting. Dahil, ano tawag yan? Informal settlers. Ay, hindi talaga matapos-tapos yan. Kaya yun lang ang concern ko. Marami kayong nirelease, dadami yung squatters, ay yung informal settlers nyo dyan. Talagang prove ko na yan. Alam ko na yan. So, yun lang ang concern ko sa Bucor. Sa kuha naman, sa immigration. Sir, during our last hearing, napag-usapan yung representative mo na mag-coordinate sila sa PNP. Dahil ang problema ng PNP, halimbawa yung may patay na nakuha doon sa, may tinapon na patay na Chinese doon sa may Kawit, Cavite, meron silang nakuha ng mga Latin prints doon sa katawan ng victim. So, ang problema, wala silang mapagbanggaan or wala silang mamatch nito na database. Wherein kayo naman daw, meron kayong database. Nag-sharing na ba kayo ng ngayon ng database sa PNP?
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, Your Honor, during the last hearing, I was not yet the commissioner at the time. But right now, we are closely coordinating with the Philippine National Police, and every national, foreign national for that matter, we take their biometrics, fingerprint picture. Then, upon request, Your Honor, of the Philippine National Police, we will provide the biometric data.
Okay, kasi ang importante dyan, magkakaroon sila ng data dahil sila man doon na mayroong crime laboratory, kayo wala kayong crime laboratory, di ba?
None, Your Honor. We will store the biometrics data.
Store ang biometric data nyo, share nyo doon sa kanila para sa kanilang crime laboratory magamit para ma-match yung mga Latin prints na nakuha. Well, next is yung kalimutan ko na tuloy yung question ko, anak ng baka. Ha?
Hindi mo sinusulat eh.
Hindi ko sinusulat.
Yan talaga pag maraming iniisip, General. Ganun talaga pag mabilis ang takbo ng utak eh.
Sige lang.
Talaga.
Sige na lang, magkalimutan ko. Ha?
Bucor, Pogo.
Dalawa lang ang questions ko dito, yung Bucor at saka yung BI. Ito. But anyway, Mr. Chairman, wala na.
You can ask later if you remember.
I just would like to manifest my support, Mr. Chairman, dito sa budget ng DOJ. Dahil, number one, alam naman ninyo na I was formerly a member of the DOJ family, being the Director General of Bucor noon. At pangalawa, umahanga ako sa Secretary ng Justice ngayon dahil ayaw talaga niya ako i-turn over sa ICC. Kaya talagang susuportahan ko itong budget na by all means. You may term it as a personal interest, but I term it as a nationalistic view as far as sovereignty is concerned. That's sovereignty, not for personal reasons.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Bihira tayo makakita ng mga public officials na may balls to stand up for that is really needed to maintain our territorial integrity and sovereignty. So yun lang, Mr. Chairman, I would like to support their budget. Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat. Yung mamaya, mag-text na lang tayo kung malala ko yung question ko, ha?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner. Sir, thank you. Maraming salamat, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Senator Bato de la Rosa. I'm sure your statements are appreciated by the DOJ family, the Secretary Boying. We'd like to acknowledge one of our colleagues, of course, the former Speaker of the House, former Majority Leader, now the Chair of our Committees on Science and Technology and Government Corporation, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano. Sir, good morning. Good afternoon. It's past 12 already. So we just want, before I turn it over to Senator Rafi, I'd just like to state that Senator Legarda has logged out, but she has stated that she is supportive of the budget of the DOJ and any increases that the committee will support that. So just for the record, Senator Rafi, sir, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I've noticed na wala akong member dito ng DBM. Is there any member of the DBM here? Online? Okay, good. And the name of the gentleman from the DBM? May I know his name? Okay. Kasi, Mr. Chair, nakakalungkot nga na ang laki pong in-slash na amount dito po sa requested budget ng DOJ. And we know na the DOJ and its attached agency, especially the NBI, plays a very important role dito sa pamamalakad ng ating pamalaan. And having said that, I would like to thank the NBI. Dahil tumawag po ako sa inyo, meron po akong pinapalot na kaso sa Palawan, yung missing working student na si Jovelyn Galano. Ang bilis po umaksyon ng inyong mga tao. At ang nakakalungkot nga po, Secretary Remulla, dadalawa lang po pala ang tao nyo doon sa puerto. Baka po di ho nating dagdagan. Kasi nga po, yung pong mga police, pasintabi dito kay Chief Bato de la Rosa is still here?
Umalis na po.
Okay. Every time na sa programa ko po, na hindi po maganda ang performance ng PNP, palaging sumisigaw yung mga netizens, NBI, NBI, NBI. Mataas po yung tiwala ng taong bayan sa NBI. And yet, ang liit po ng budget ng NBI. Pwede makausap yung DBM? Can I have the DBM online? Answer some questions? Wala. Nagtago.
Baka kumain po. Kasi traditionally, we don't ask the DBM questions in these budget hearings. We wait for them to show up before us.
Okay.
Then we ask them, Your Honor.
Okay, well,
So, yung procedure, but if you wish, we can tell specifically, we can specify that they be present at all the, I think it's the first time someone has asked the DBM the question during another agency's budget hearing, Your Honor.
Kasi
na po kayo.
It's okay. Kasi tulad kahapon yung sa judiciary, napansin ko po na malaki din po yung slash na budget, remember, Mr. Chair, na equally important naman po yung ginagampanan na role ng ating hudikatura, ng mga korte, kung para sa ibang departamento ng ating gobyerno na nalaki po ng mga budget, which is okay lang. Dapat ipantay din sa judiciary and dito rin po sa DOJ. Especially dito rin sa Public Attorney's Office, na sila po yung agency na tumutulong, sumusuporta po sa mga mahirap nating kababayan. So, ako po full support sa budget ng DOJ. Kung tatanungin, kulang pa nga po ito. Saan hindi po nag-slash ng pagkalaki-laki, parang almost half. So, baka hindi talaga alam ng DBM kung ano yung gaano ka-importante yung pong trabaho ginagampanan niyo po dyan sa DOJ. Siguro po sa next hearing, itong DBM, marami siguro mga katanungan na dapat na nasagutin sa akin. Now, moving on, I have a few questions for our representative here from LRA, Attorney
Sirius.
Sirius. Okay.
He's the administrator po.
Yes, Attorney Sirius. Sa Puerto Princesa City, Palawan, marami po ako natatanggap na reklamo mula sa mga farmers na sila po ay nagsasangla ng lupa. Ito po sa mga ma-influensyang tao. Matapos po sila makapagsangla ng lupa na pagkababa ang halaga. And then when the time comes, natutubusin na nila. Hindi nila po nilang natutubos dahil na-transfer na po yung lupa, yung titulo. Ang bilis po na-transfer. Di ba alam ko, meron pong mahabang proseso yan. Ang bilis po. Saka talamak po ang land grabbing sa mga indigenous people, yung mga katutubo, yung malupa yung mga katutubo doon. Wala ho ba kayong alam tungkol dyan, Attorney?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Honorable
members of the committee. With the kind permission of the Secretary of Justice, based on what I have found out, I have been in office for about 3 weeks pa lang, sir.
Okay.
But from what I have heard, there are most of the landowners dyan there po are actually on public land. Ngayon po, the lands are untitled, are yet to be titled. And some of them are selling lands po or having it, yung mortgage po, sangla sa those who have the means of lending them money. And then, in the course of that, sila na po mismo ang nag-a-apply for titling po. So, ganun po yung nangyayari, sir.
No, sir. Meron mga farmers ang titulo po yung kanilang mga lupa. And then meron silang pangangailangan.
Opo.
And then nilalapit po sa kanila na tao. Na sabi, sige, pwede mo isanla sa akin yung lupa mo at a certain amount na napag-usapan. In fact, sobrang baba. And then, dumating yung time, nag-mature na po yung loan.
Opo.
Tutubusin na po ng farmer. Hindi na po natubos kasi po na-transfer na yung pangalan doon sa tao. So wala ba kayong ginagawang safeguard para ma-ensure na ito pong mga lupain ng mga farmers natin, palit na nga yung ating mga farmland, napoprotection na naman, na hindi po sila hindi po sila na-scam nitong mga mayayamang tao, may influensyan tao, na sila po ay napagsamantalahan.
Sir, if this is farmland po, usually these are awarded through the CLOA po. Or under the CLOA, hindi po sila pwedeng, they're not permitted to sell or dispose of their properties po, or even have it as security for loan po.
So bakit po sila nakapagsanla? I'm talking about sanla po sa tao, hindi po sa bangko.
We will look into that po, sir.
Yeah, we should look into that, sir. Yun nga po. In fact, meron pa nga pong mga sumbong sa akin na magsasanla sila ng lupa, itong mga farmers dahil may pangangailangan, may sakit yung kanilang family, kailangan mag-abroad yung kamag-anak nila, maging OFW, so they need money. So, lalapit sila sa isang loan shark.
Opo.
And then, may usapan sila na 6 months. Okay? And then, magbibigyan ng date, kunyari, December 31, 2021. Pagdating po ng December 31, 2021, at exact time na hindi po matubos ng farmer kasi nakalagay sa kontrata yon at nakapagpirma ng deed of sale, agad-agad itinatakbo po sa LRA at natatransfer agad po yung titulo. Wala man lang grace period. So yun sinasabi ko, dapat may mga safeguards po kayo dito na make sure pag mga farmer, lupa ng mga farmer yan, lupa ng mga maliit nating kababayan, nabigyan ng proteksyon, masiguro na talagang legit po yung transaksyon, na hindi po sila naisande, na sila po ay talagang gusto na matuloy yung transaksyon.
Opo, we will look into that po, sir. Yung pong transactions kasi between a farmer and a private person po, it couldn't be registered under the real estate mortgage. So these are purely unregistered transactions. So we have to look into that po. What measures or what safeguards to put into para ma-avoid po natin, maiwasan ang ganitong mga transaction po.
Okay, pero yung tao po kasi yung nirefer ko, and I'm not gonna mention name, may influensyang tao. At halos lahat na atang lupa sa Palawan, pag-aari na ata raw niya. Ayon po sa mga sumbong nakarating sa akin. I don't know kung kaya mong banggain yun.
Opo.
Sa bagay, nandiyan naman si Secretary Hermar, kaya ni Secretary muna yun. Anyway, seriously, kailangan po talaga protection po natin yung mga lupain ng ating mga maliliit na farmers.
Opo, sir. The LRA po is committed to protect the interests of landowners, whether small or big po. So, with the help of our Secretary of Justice, we will make sure na we will do our mandate po.
Okay. Meron din po mga insidente, ito po yung mga katutubuan po, yung IPs. They've been there sa lupa na yun for a long, long time. Nananapan nila sa kanilang mga minuno. And all of a sudden, meron pong taong pupunta doon at sasabihin, lupa ko ito at may hawak-hawak na pong titulo. Lalayasin po yung katutubo. Si katutubo, syempre, maliit lamang na tao siya, mabilis mapalayas at then maglalagay na po agad ng mga security guard to secure the area. And syempre, ang tanong ko ngayon, saan kumuha ng titulo itong o nabiglang sumulpot out of the blue? Samantalang yung mga katutubo, diyan na nga nang kamatay yung kanilang mga ninuno, meaning they have that land, piece of land for years and even 100 years pa siguro. And now, all of a sudden, someone will come in and says, akin tong lupan to. Meron po siyang hawak-hawak na titulo, ha? So, ang nangyari, maglalabanan sa korte. Itong si Bagong Salta na may hawak na titulo, kung saan niya kinuhang lupalop yung titulo niyan, and then itong si Katutubo. Siyempre, pagdating sa korte, sino man nanalo, sir? Siguro naman, sir, alam mo na siguro yung sagot, Katutubo versus isang maimpluwensyang mayamang tao ang nasa likod versus Katutubo. Pagdating po sa korte, sino kayo mananalo? Di ba, sir? So, kailangan, sir, proteksyonan niyo po yung ating mga katutubo din. So, pag meron po mga bigla na lang sumulpot na tao at yun po may hawak-hawak, well, ulitin ko na lang pala, rephrase my, I think I'll make it a statement. Siguro po, silipin niyo po yung ahensya dahil sinisiguro ko po sa inyo, may mga hudas po dyan. God knows who does not pay, ika nga.
Opo, sir.
Kasi nga po, yung titulong hawak-hawak ng Bagong Salta na tao, yun po ay na-obtain sa pakikipagsabuatan sa mga, hindi po kayo sa mga alipores dyan sa LRA.
Yes, sir.
Malakas po ang korupsyon sa LRA, FYI po. Sabagay, bago lang po kayo, para malaman niyo lang po. So, ang unang nyo po sigurong gawin, linisin niyo po yung mga corrupt.
Yes, sir.
Ng mga taga-LRA.
Yes, sir. Actually, that is the marching order of our Secretary of Justice. So, upon assumption to office, I was directed to make sure to clean the ranks of the LRA po.
Opo. Ang sa akin lang po kasi para maproteksyonan po yung mga lupain ng mga maliit nating kababayan, yung mga farmers, lalo na at saka mga IPs. Yun na po talaga ang aking interest.
Yes, sir.
Other than that, ako po, Mr. Chair, full support po ako sa budget ng DOJ. In fact, kulang pa nga ito ko ako tatanungin, saan naman lang nilapit-lapit sa katotohanan, halos kalahati yung in-slash from 42.9B pong request nyo, ang inapruban ng 26, sobrang laki naman ang in-slash. Para sa akin, hindi ito makatarungan dahil alam ko po, napaka-importante po yung papel na ginagampanan po ng DOJ, ng immigration, and maging na NBI. NBI, you've been doing a good job. Keep it up. And I really commend Secretary Remulla ng NBI. Again, Secretary Remulla, baka pwede po dagdagan natin yung mga tao nyo sa puerto? Kulang po, dadalawa lang po.
Kaya po natin ang paraan.
Ayun, sige po. Salamat po, Secretary Remulla at Mr. Chair, yun lang po ang aking mga katanungan. Magandang hapon po.
Thank you very much, Senator Raffy Tulfo, for raising those issues. Well, for your information, Sen. Raffy, meron pong DBM budget specialist ngayon online, si Miss Lulu Vispo. Would you like to ask her some questions?
Of course.
Yes, yes.
Nandiyan
Go
ba?
ahead, sir. Yeah, please go ahead.
Madam Lulu, magandang hapon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon po, sir.
Okay. Ma'am, ako po'y curious lamang, siyempre, pagdating po sa usaping...
Excuse me, could you open your monitor, ma'am, please, Diana? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Salamat,
Sorry
salamat.
po, sorry, sir.
Opo, pagdating po sa usaping nanalapi, of course, kayo pong authority dyan. Ano po? DBM nga po. Ano po? However, meron lang po akong katanungan, out of curiosity, how did you come up with this figure 26B samantalang 42B ang ni-request po ng DOJ? At siyempre, na-justify na po nila yan sa inyo nung sila po ay magsabit ng kanilang recommendation o ng kanilang request. Bakit po sobrang laki po yung pong in-slash, madam?
Yes, yes. Good afternoon, Your Honor and Mr. Chair. and Senator. Usually, sir, what was slashed in the budget for FY 2023 is when you are talking of between 2022 and 2023, it's the big amount included in the FY 2022, which is a congressional initiative, which is 356 million. And also, the budget utilization rate of the NBI for FY 2021 as of June 31, when it comes to operating requirements, they only have 77.80%. So out of the 857.8 appropriations, they only obligated the 630 million po. And then there is also a continuing appropriations from 2021, and as of June 30, they only obligated 34.32%. So that is how we prepared po. And then the other proposals, sirs, were not supported with documentary requirements po. And
So-
aside from that, sir, they also have a 150 million every year appropriations, which is the use of income po.
Okay, so ibig mo sabihin, kulang po sa supporting documents yung ibang mga requests?
Yes po. Yes po. And then when it comes to CI, sir, kasi hindi namin po siya sinasama the following year, if ever no, we will evaluate their budget po.
Okay, pero ma'am, sobrang laki. Curious na ako kasi I'm more concerned about the NBI kasi nga po, sabi ko kanina sa show ko, yung mga sintabi lang po sa PNP, meron pong mga cases, especially yung mga masela na mga kaso na sa tingin po ng taong bayan, mukhang hindi kaya ng PNP. Palagi sila sumisigaw sa NBI, 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 NBI. And yet, tingnan niyo po yung NBI, katiting lang po yung budget. Parang awa-awa po yung budget ng NBI. In fact, kanina sabi ko lang po kay Secretary Remulla, dadalawa lang po yung tao nila sa puerto. Ano po mga kilos yung NBI pa? Although, dalawa lang sila pero they've been doing a good job. Paano po makagawa ng maayos na trabaho ang NBI kung dadalawa lang po sila katulad niyan? PNP po yung mga suspect po sa kaso. So, I wanted the NBI to rescue sana kasi meron po kaming balita na somewhere supposed to be meron taong doon pwedeng i-rescue. Sabi ko sa NBI, magsama ka ng mga tao mo. Sir, sabi niya, dadalawa lang po kami, ha? So, di ba? Nakukuha po, DBM. At marami pa po mga lugar na kukunti po yung NBI, na maposto ng NBI sa kagamitan dahil kulang po yung budget. Kaya ba, humingi ng tulong sa NBI? Have you tried? Siguro naman po, mabilis po kayo natulungan ng NBI. Ano po? Kaya dyan sa DBM, pag may mga problema kayo, takbuhan nyo siguro NBI. Ano po? Tama?
Sir, usually po for clearance po, yung hingi na NBI clearance.
Hindi, kunyari ikaw personally. Personally, siguro. Hindi.
Hindi pa, sir.
Kaya pala hindi ka nag-ano, wala kang problema pala sa ano, hindi ka pala nagkakaproblema, kaya wala kang pakialam. Sorry, I'm not sure. Wala kang pakialam.
Hindi naman
I'm just being straightforward dito, ma'am. Why? Because every day po sa aking action center, sa Wanted sa radyo, by the hundreds po, pila dyan. Malaking percentage dyan, they are either victims of crime, o dili kaya yung kanilang pamilya ay victims of crime, o sila po yung naapi, natapakan po yung kanilang karapatan, at kailangan po ng intervention ng law enforcement, kasama na po dyan ang NBI. So pag tumatakbo kami sa NBI, although the NBI is doing their best, kung ano yung available resources meron sila, they're making the most of it. Pero ma'am, kulang eh. Ako po kasi nakakahalubilo ko sila palagi. Nakakausap ko po sila palagi. That's why nakikita ko talaga yung needs nila. Siguro po, sabi ko kahapon, kung nakamonitor po kayo, it's about time siguro, yun po mga agency tulad ng DOJ at yung Supreme Court, yung mga korte natin, ibisita niyo po siguro para makita niyo po yung kalagayan nila, sitwasyon nila. Kung nakausap niyo po siguro, wag yun po yung nakaupo lang po tayo dyan sa air condition room natin, kung may sasabit na dokumento, okay, sige, tingnan natin. Siguro kailangan kausapin niyo rin po sila para malaman niyo po talaga yung totoong sitwasyon ng ahensya na tinatalakay niyo po yung budget nila. Okay, ma'am?
Noted, sir. Opo.
Sige po. Ma'am, hindi tayo galit ha. Hindi ka galit sa akin, hindi ako
Hindi
galit
po.
sa'yo.
Hindi po,
Okay.
sir.
Baka nagtatampo na po kayo, ma'am.
Ah,
Okay. Pero again, ma'am, really, seriously, kailangan po natin ma-upgrade yung NBI. Kailangan po madagdagan natin yung budget ng NBI. And also the PAW. Kasi po yung PAW, takbuhan po ito ng mga maliit nating kababayan na madalas na po. May kasabihan naman, alam niyo yung kasabihan niya, ano? Yung sinasabi ni former President Ramon Magsaysay, alam niyo po yun? He who has less in life should have more in law. So, ibig sabihin po niya, madam, yung mga maliliit natin kababayan, yung mga walang-wala, yung mga kapuspalad, dapat sila magkaroon ng mas malawakang proteksyon sa ating batas. So, paano makapagbigay ng tamang proteksyon, ayuda itong PAW at NBI kung kulang po sila sa budget? Tama po ba nun? Di ba? So, kailangan po siguro next time pag-isip-isipan po natin yung pong slash pagbigay ng ayos na budgets sa ating law enforcement tulad po ng NBI. Salamat po, madam. Maraming salamat.
noted,
Madam,
sir. Opo. Thank you, sir.
ingat po kayo palagi. God bless. Okay. Salamat, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Senator Rafi. We'll now give the floor to Senator Alan Peter, who's, for his questions. Yeah.
Ay, magandang tanghali po. Mr. Chairman, one biblical principle that we can apply every day is yung kung anong ating itatanim, yan din ang ating aanihin. And many of us here were either born to a family of lawyers o kaya may naging mentor, no, na lawyer. And I still remember nung panahon na iisa lang ang piskal sa bawat probinsya. So, when my wife, Mayor Lani, took over etong June 30, tinitignan namin yung Hall of Justice at saka yung facilities ng piskal at saka ng prosecutors at ng judges. Napakakulang at napakarami na nila. Pero nagulat ako sa dami. Then someone told me, so actually mas marami pa nga sa San Juan. So, parang the natural thing to do is to advocate, to lobby both sa Supreme Court and sa DOJ for more fiscals, more judges, more facilities. But that would mean that we are becoming a much more litigious society. Eh di ba nung time natin, yun ang medyo, at least sa law school, medyo yun ang yabang natin compared sa US, na sa US, madapa ka lang or mamura ka lang, matulak ka, di ba? Dimandahan na. And of course, when you talk about prosecutors, these are criminal cases, not to mention civil cases pa, no? So what I was wondering if the good secretary pagdating sa plenary, can show us maybe over a 10 or 15-year period, yung growth nga talaga nung pag-file ng criminal cases at saka nung personnel, and then maybe together with the House and Senate, the executive, we can come out with kumbaga may enemy ka, instead na upakan mo yung enemy mo, love your enemy. No, I don't know whether we should strengthen the barangay justice system, di ba? Yung sa ngayon kasi ang limitation nung sa barangay, kailangan magkabarangay sila. But maybe yung lupon, no? Yung lupon, which is for me very effective. Kaya nga may limitations lang. But yun, so my first point is I'm a little bit alarmed in our trajectory, and I've been monitoring yung press statements at yung mga pag-ikot ni Secretary Remulla, and I see he wants to take a very, how do I put it, fundamentalist approach. Parang wag lang symptoms, pero doon na mismo sa problema. So I know long-term, baka DepEd to, di ba? To teach our young people values and parang hindi magkadimandahan. But maybe medium-term, 6 years to 10 years, di ba? Pwede nating tignan na kung yun talaga ang trajectory, dapat naman siguro mag-plateau or magbago, no? If the Justice Secretary would like to reply, no?
Your Honor, maybe we can say it's also a function of population. We are now 107 million people, and the example here would be the province of Cavite, Your Honor. We now have 39 RTCs passed by law to be established in Cavite. But we just have 26 prosecutors, which means we don't even have one prosecutor per court, which will also delay the release of people who are being detained, and this will also delay the dispensation of justice. So all of these problems, Your Honor, are just there because I think it's a population. We just so many people now, and the problem now also is that criminal cases are heard twice a year in many areas in the country, when they should be heard around 8 to 10 times a year, so that the persons can be judged accordingly. So that's one of the problems of the justice system now, and I think that we really have to hire more people, Your Honor.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I hear the pain in the voice of Secretary of Justice 3 or 8 times. Actually, if we follow the rules of court, di ba? Continuous hearing. And pag napapanood ng ating mga kababayan yung mga US or European court system na parang pag nagsimula today, di ba, tatapusin nila yan. Di ba, yung kay Jack Sparrow at sa kanyang asawa, di ba? Talagang oo, kay Johnny Depp, libel ba yun? Libel yung, I think, sa libel case nila, no? So, sa atin, it's still a criminal offense yung libel. Pero, when people see that, parang syempre, ba't hindi kaya sa atin? But I hear you, no, na the case of Cavite is a glaring example kasi you can't have one prosecutor man lang, no? Having said that, maybe to rephrase lang, no, my manifestation is, can we take a dual approach, di ba? On one hand, providing yung kulang, facilities, more prosecutors, yung kanilang computers, books, internet, etc. But at the same time, look at the bigger picture of social justice in our country and how, how we can make it a less litigious. Di ba? If you follow a biblical example, kasi, klaro if someone has wronged you, go to him or her and explain that you have wronged. Pag hindi nakinig, go to the elders of the church. And then go to that person with the elders at makinig. Kung hindi pa rin, yung church leadership na, kung hindi, alis ka sa church. And supposedly that system will keep Christians, whether Catholic, Protestant, whatever, from filing cases with each other. But again, maraming magka-church ngayon na hindi magkakilala. Di ba? Minsan sa korte na silang nagkikita na, tapos sasabihin ng pastor, pareho ko kayong parishioners, no? But that's what I meant, a dual approach. Kasi nga, feeling ko parang in our language during our time, 2-5 na yung pailan mo ng kaso yung isang tao, no? The second point I want to make, I had the honor and privilege, no, in the first year, Mr. Chair, nung nagkaroon ng cyber division yung NBI, to put the first 20 million. Walang budget nun, yung for the cyber crimes, no? But right now, I think, kung titignan mo, in any aspect, no, whether it's white collar or blue collar, dun papunta talaga no? Sunday, patulog na ako pagtingin ko sa phone ko. May text, sinabi mo kanina, chairperson ng Committee on Science and Technology, nakalagay, Sen, tapos miss call, nakalagay Secretary Solidum. So, of course ako, tinext ko, Sec, sorry, Sunday, hindi ko nakita call mo, tawagan kita bukas. Sumagot, cabinet meeting bukas, but okay tomorrow. Maya-maya, naglipat ako ng phone, nag-appear birthday. Pero I was sure, hindi ko nakita na birthday niya earlier. Sa Viber kasi nag-appear, di ba? So, tinext ko, happy birthday, nag-text na. Sen, pwede bang humingi ng tulong kasi nasa cabinet kami bukas. So, in-engage ko. Sabi ko, anong sec, tawagan kita or text? Sabi niya, mahina signal dito sa Romblon, kaya hindi kita matawagan. Nanganak yung maid namin pero hindi namin makontak. Pwede bang padalan mo ng 20,000? Di ba? So, text ko ulit. Pwede bang tomorrow morning? Sabi niya, kailangan niya na ngayon. But eto medyo, But 3 weeks before that, an alleged OFW leader na kilala ko, and nung hindi ko binigay yung gusto niyang tulong, biglang gumawa ng group And then, ambassadors. And yung ambassadors, kilala ko dahil nung nasa DFA ako, so nandito na sila. Pero Sec, ang numbers nila, Australian, US at Canadian. So hindi lang Pilipino yung phone number nila. Viber to lahat, no? And then ang sinasabi ng ambassadors, kilala namin siya, tulungan mo naman. Tapos nagpa-personal text sa akin, si ambassador ganito, sir, kamusta ka na? Tulungan mo. So, of course, you've heard this the last month, di ba? Dahil ang daming nagko-complain. But for me, what's new is that last week, people were telling me, wala sa pangalan nila yung cellphone nila. Pero nickname o initial nila, nandun. No? So, halimbawa, if people know that your nickname is Boying, but your cellphone, let's say, is sa office or whatever, no? For whatever reason, or prepaid, no? Biglang lalabas, Boying, baka gusto mo sa online ganito, or baka gusto mong bumili dito. So, personalized na. So, we know that there is data sharing between some apps, di ba? When Facebook and WhatsApp got together, pag nag-text ka na nag-text sa WhatsApp, let's say Apple computer, iPhone, ganyan, mag-appear yung products ng iPhone sa Facebook mo. So may algorithm na supposedly hindi binubuksan. But ito, pati sa scam, nalalaman na rin yung pangalan mo. Never mind us, I guess one reason we're victims of that or targeted victims or we're being targeted is because we give our numbers out eh. Diba? So madaling makuha. But for private citizens na let's say 50 to 200 lang ang nasa phone nila, biglang may magte-text na allegedly kilala nila. No? So my point is, Mr. Chair, I think kailangan talagang meron tayong 5-year plan sa cybercrime. And talagang yung funding is not just the equipment, but it's also the training, sending people, whether DOJ or NBI abroad, to what's the latest, di ba? Getting the cooperation of the telcos and everything, no? And the very last point I want to make is that, so there's been various briefings about yung kidnapping. And then nasa news yung pag-file ng case kay Bong Navarro, no. I'll not go to the merits of both, but I remember dahil sa Taguig nangyari yan, one of the frustrations ng aming chief of police is the condo wouldn't cooperate right away nung nangyari. Diba? Because for us lawyers, we know that a warrantless arrest is allowed, diba, when a crime is either in progress or it just happened, and the former DOJ Secretary and Solgen can correct me, no, but or can elucidate on that. But ang point ko is that kung nilabas ka agad yung CCTV or nag-cooperate ka agad, wala sanang problema. So since that time, I'm not 100% sure what nangyari, no, but pinatawag ng PNP at ng Taguig Police ang mga security agencies, condo owners. So I think they have a protocol of how to keep the privacy pa rin nung condo. But then when it's a crime, di ba, obstruction of justice yan eh. Pero alam naman natin sa Pilipinas pagka ganun na kung sino-sinong hari ang nakatira dun sa condo, hindi rin nagpo-prosper yung yung obstruction walang nasasampulan eh. So my point is, in one of these briefings, nasabi kasi ng mga police, hindi sila basta-basta makapasok sa Pogo. So, whether you're a senator, a mayor, a congressman, you feel so, how do I put it? Frustrated, pity, and also. So I think there is a need for the DOJ and the police, the PNP, to really have this workshop together. Because apparently, even some of our COPs around and even some of our top generals. So we had that also in the hearings ng Isabong, di ba? Na meron ka ng witness sa loob ng compound, nagsasabing dun dumukot, tapos napipigilan pa rin ng private security pumasok ang police. Kasi ang alam ko, di ba, pagka klarong a crime is being committed, pumasok. You don't have to get a search warrant. Or if you really do need a search warrant, di ba, pwede mo nang paligiran yung area para hindi lumabas, then of course that's between the DOJ and the court naman. So for example, sa Pogo, kung it's only a suspicion, pero may basis yung kanilang suspicion, meaning not guesswork, and they can run to the court and get a search warrant, bantayan nila. But apparently, that's lost upon them. So, I just like to appeal to both the Soljan and the Secretary of Justice na, let's stop this feeling of helplessness. Diba? If there's something wrong with the law and we can amend it as long as the procedures will still be in accordance with our constitution and protect the rights of our people, why not? But tingin ko naman at present, it's really more of the application. No? So, and I think while people fear what you call this, a powerful state and police force, nakakatakot din naman yung powerless pakinggan ang ating mga kapulisan. Lalo na ngayon na 30, 40 years ago, hindi usong condo living eh. Pero ngayon, it's really a choice din eh. So, your protection should not be confined to your private security, di ba? It should also be the community police. So, let me just lay this at the doorstep of our team, sa justice team natin. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to our Soljan and our Secretary. Of course, feel free to respond.
Yeah, we'll let the Secretary respond if he wishes. Thank you, Senator Cayetano.
We will do something about that, Your Honor.
Thank you. The last, I think, hopefully the last is our Vice Chair. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you,
It's,
Mr. Chair.
Vice Chair Senator J.V. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry, there's simultaneous here with the Commission on Appointments to confirm Secretary Neguesma. Anyway, I received a letter from Secretary Remulla handed over by his very able Undersecretary, Brigido Dulay. A request for additional funding, no? About 300 million para at least we will take note, Mr. Chair, for training and educational facilities. Probably si Secretary na rin pwede mag-elaborate for kung ano talaga yung purpose nito. I think it's really for coordination with the PNP, the ALG for better in cases, no? I think probably can elaborate, Secretary.
Yes, Your Honor. We are about to launch a DOJ PNP coordination prosecution and enforcement teams that will work like the DA system in America. We will not. We want to take away the judicial function that is being somehow abused by our prosecution and make it more of an executive function. And it's necessary that the police are properly equipped with the legal knowledge, and that the prosecution is should be comfortable working with the police at all times, Your Honor. We need that, Your Honor.
So that this is a good innovation, Mr. Chair, no? So that it will be more efficient this time, so that we will have better better chances of winning this time. Kasi madalas sa technical pag nahanapan ng butas. So yung 300 million will be used for training and educational activities for the LG, PNP, and
yes, Your Honor.
And second, dito ng isa pa, about 220 million request, but it's additional funding. I think this is very important, Mr. Chair, for prosecution attorneys. At present, there are about 556 unfilled position for National Prosecution Service. So napakalaki pala. But yung request is only for 150 million, no? Just
yes, Your Honor,
150 prosecution attorneys, sorry.
So, Your Honor, we're looking at our absorptive capacity on how many we can really hire. Because if we really look at the figures right now, the new courts are not yet into the picture. But if we look at the new courts established, we really need 800 more prosecutors. But I think that we can only hire at least 150. We will be able to hire for sure, Your Honor.
Muna.
Yes, Your Honor.
What is the average workload per prosecutor? Medyo malaki siguro ngayon because of our lack of prosecutors.
Yes, Your Honor. And it's not really in all areas. There are some areas where there are no prosecutors. There are courts without prosecutors. That's why we have to fill the gap, Your Honor.
Just take note of this also that so that the committee can
We had a chat also with the Sec Boying the other day, and he intimated these problems to us. And because of your initiative and because of his our belief in his political will commit to helping the DOJ. And testigo naman po si Sec Maynard na in the past years we've been helping the DOJ. So mas lalo na the part of the DOJ family, Yusek Dodo nandyan. So don't worry, Your Honor, it's very difficult, no? Because as you know, it's a zero-sum game at our level, no? We have to take away from somebody and give it to add to somebody. So, but rest assured, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Likewise, it's a good opportunity, Mr. Chair, that Sec Boying is here, no, Institute 3 Genuine Reforms, no, also started by Secretary Maynard Guevara. At least yung we will be able to fill up yung hopefully slowly the lack of our prosecutors, improvement of yung coordination with the PNP, and last but not the least siguro yung pagtutulungan na natin probably, Mr. Chair, yung plano ni Sec Boying Remulla na to have the mega detention facility, yung kapalitan ng Balibid. Because not unless we really move out Bilibid, hindi talaga maalis yung mga problema dyan. Because we are, ang hirap kasi yung situation, it's within the community. So maganda naman yung plano. So hopefully, slowly, probably we can ask the DP, with the help of DPWH to start, we can start already with the mega detention facility.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Salamat, Vice Chair Senator JV. Now we have Vice Chair Senator Francis, who's the chair of the Senate Committee on Justice as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no in-depth questions to propound. I came from the Commission on Appointments. I have to attend the confirmation hearing of my senior brother, who happens to be the Secretary of Labor now. But just for the record, Mr. Chairman, I handed over before I left to Attorney Irene de Torres Alogo, my proposal to amend existing ADR rules. So if you'll notice, it's based more on the UNCITRAL model, incorporating some cross-border commercial transactions that will involve foreign arbitrators. We expect you, ma'am, to have a comment on that because previously during our first organizational hearing, it was Secretary Guevara who mentioned that he's in charge of arbitration, or just the Sultanate of Sulu ruling. So, can you furnish him a copy likewise? Yun lang po yung manifestation. But I am supportive of the budget of the DOJ family. Ito lang po, Secretary Kabayan, yung DOJ Academy in Tagaytay. Sure. When will it be completed? Will it be akin to the PILJA or better? Will we train not just prosecutors but even those coming from the Office of the Solicitor General? So what's the status, sir?
It's ongoing, Your Honor. We will update the committee very soon, Your Honor, when we look at the specifics.
I'm sure it's going to be a first-class academic institution, better than the Development Academy of the Philippines.
Hopefully, Your Honor.
Hopefully.
Get Senator Tolentino as one of your lecturers, Your Honor.
So I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman, because I'm afraid lunch is not being served here.
Lunch is being served, Your Honor. It's there. It's being consumed as we speak, Your Honor.
So again, I reiterate my support to the budget of all of these agencies participating here right now. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. And I think that's the last, the good news is that's the last interpellator. Thank you very much to our Vice Chair, Senator Francis Tolentino. Serve him lunch. He's complaining that he's not been given lunch. But our Sincerest thanks to the DOJ family led by the good Secretary Boying, and of course the former Secretary who's now the Solicitor General, Soljan Maynard, Yusek Dodo, and the DOJ family, Yusek Vasquez, our heads of agencies, kila General Bantag, Commissioner Tansingo. Pasensya ka na sa mga tanong, bago ka lang pala. Chair Agbayani, Administrator Sirius, Chair Marlene Staris, Ma'am Acosta, yes, hello po. Yusek Deo Marco, Director Hermar, Attorney Lemos from NBI, Admin Piray, sir. Pasensya na sa mata natin, medyo bumibigyan na. And then the rest of the DOJ family. Thank you very much from the committee. Salamat po sa inyo. And rest assured, we will do our best to augment your budget given the importance of your work. So, salamat po, Mr. Secretary.
Salamat po. Salamat po.